Another man done gone. Another man done gone from the county from another
It's
man
Jax.
done gone.
What up, Dollars? Let's go.
Martin Luther had a dream, but Freddy Krueger had a Ruger. Ex-Malcolm out the picture, so now we back to the future. Now we back to these losers embracing death like they used to, poking out they chest. But listen, son, now you leaking that future. So who's the shooter? Is it your man? Or was it a fan? Or was it a stand? I would beg to differ. In hindsight, I bet you he say he was not a nigga. Plus Biggie Smalls was just minding his business, yo. Smoking an Optimo. Somebody got to drop the homie Biggie has got to go. And they couldn't stop it, no. I wish that they could. Yeah, the world needs change, but man, I wish that we would. So why the long frown? A man harm from a 4-pound. His blood ripples on the floor from the war sound. His mama sitting at the wake hoping the Lord's found. Another dead, another gone now. Damn.
Another man done gone. Another man done gone from the county from another man done gone.
George Eliot said that it's best to be what you wanna be. Fucking do what you wanna do, so I do what I wanna do. Bet you did it to floss. Bitch, I did what I wanted. Bet you did it and lost. Bitch, I did it and won it. Shit, I'm never coming back. Listen, I just wanna rap. Gee, I told you all of that. On about a dozen tracks. I don't give a fuck. I just wanna rap. Spitting fire on this track like a fucking Thundercat. Plus this mic is bleeding rojo. This shit is a no-no. Rolling in that low-low. Plus I'm from that Baltimore. Need a fofo. Smoking on my logo. Ready for the wall and we so-so. Still with the flow. Somebody got a ropo. Heard the lanes and I swear they so-so. Too much love for the fame just to go broke. Used to think I had the rap game in the stroke hard. Never think I got the whole world on the rope. Gotta think of damn dog, you crazy. Is he the next Jay-Z? My crystal ball is hazy, but I don't know. Maybe.
Welcome back to the Insanity Check podcast. It's your host, Kriss, here to help you navigate through the week in craziness. I am being joined today on today's show by somebody. I was just talking to her. I bring on here every 3 months or so to give us just a check. I love talking to her and also give us an update on some stuff she's doing here. I have Leslie Mack from the Interracial John, but also Safety Pin Box. So how are you doing, man?
I'm good. Happy to be here with you. It's been a little while. I think last week I hit you up. I was like, I think it's time. I need to come on because shit has gotten more and more ridiculous. And yeah,
it's you and it's Joy from Black Girl Nerds, who you were the two where I never really have to go and ask you all to be on. You guys just your spider sense starts tingling. You're like, it's that time to come on the Insanity Check.
It is. And, it's like, okay, I gotta send Tucker Kriss.
Because this time it was it might have been either Rod or Nina's status, and we were talking about something, and you were just in the chat like, yo, I think it's time, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna hit page up right now. Let's go ahead and see what you have. Let's see when we can get you on, because yeah, you're right. It's just that fuckery time. The pace in which news comes out right now, and it's never good news, it's to the point where I literally, and I bring this every time, I don't do show notes until Saturday morning now sometimes, because whatever I write on Monday or throughout the week gets scrapped for what happened on Friday. It is impossible to keep up. I'm not doing this, but I've even thought before, man, I might have to start doing this bringing back bi-weekly Insanity Checks. It's, even I do a mini 30-minute, hey, this is what you missed at the beginning of the week, segments or something like that. It's just it is just so much going on.
It's never ending. It's a consistent shit cycle, as I like to call it, and it's it's very difficult to protect yourself from it. There's no letting up. And I think, as Black people, it's something we're used to, lamentably, just outrage cycles and the news cycle being something that's harmful to us. But it's been interesting since Chupe Fiasco took office and this administration has started all of the fuck shit they've been doing, watching white people experience that same state of distress continually. And so it's been interesting for me to watch. My white friends and folks that are around me to see, you know, not to say that they're experiencing what we have, but I know that's something that we as Black people have continually, like Black pain, Black death, things that we have to continually confront, and to see them feeling those same feelings, because of course now it's affecting them and the people that they love, has been interesting as well.
There's a lot of, how did we get here? And Black people going, nigga, really? You serious? Right. How do we, you guys asking this question now? Yeah, it's and again, I'm gonna ease into the politics stuff a little bit, you know, middle of the show, but yeah, and especially if you've been through several presidents before and you've been through this cycle before, like this is why and as I go through, I'm gonna let you guys know, right? This show might be a little depressing because not that I'm depressed, but there's going to be a little hopeless tone in some of the things I say because I've kind of been through this before. Like, there's a lot of, and I'll ask you, because, you know, you've been through this too. Are you getting a George W. Bush feel right now where there was a lot of movement and activity going on? There were, like, people forget, there were anti-war marches. They swarmed the streets. All this stuff happened. When 2004 came, everybody was certain Bush is out of there. You know, it's just going to happen. And nope. And I'll get into some reasons why I think this, but, like, I do not see a clear governing path, because I think it's also important to separate, you know, what people are doing, you know, grassroots, which I think is very, very important, to also what's happening with the government and how we are governed. And I do not have, because there's also, what I'm also seeing is you're getting the same thing that happened with George W. Bush towards the end. It's happening sooner with Trump, but it's the same thing that happened during the second half of George W. Bush's term, which is you get a bunch of these newly reformed, I call them Joe Scarboroughs, which are the, oh, no, I'm going to speak out, and I just can't get, you know, this is wrong. Like, what George W. Bush is doing wrong. Yeah, you're still a racist Republican, though. You're saying the right things, and you appear to be on the side, but you're not really. Like, and there's a lot of that going on right now, and I'm seeing it, I'm like, this is not going to be good because, and this is how lasting this is, you know, and again, not trying to get too heavy at the beginning, but, like, a lot of people underestimated what Obama could do his first term with that supermajority because they didn't understand that some of those Democrats weren't really progressive Democrats or even left of center or centrist. They didn't understand that.
Right.
Like that.
They just thought the D meant something and it doesn't mean shit.
And it doesn't. And a lot of that's going on right now where you have these people like, yeah, like we'll get into like the gerrymandering that's going on. Like, the Democrats are not in, like, and I say Democrats, anybody left of Republicans is not in a good shape right now. This is like we focus on the Democrats, but I don't really think anybody who's running to the right of Republican right now, because Republicans have become a cancer in what they have done to solidify their strongholds. It's gonna be hard to get out of that, and I think people are seeing the immediate effects that Trump are doing. They're not thinking long term of how long it's going to. This is what he's doing is going to take decades, if not, you know, half a to undo. Like, this is going to be
more.
So
I mean,
bad.
we know. Here's the thing: a lot of this is people that have been energized. They're younger people, and they don't remember like the Reagan years. They don't remember that we still have not undone the damage that was done in the 80s and 90s through our political systems. And what is happening is all of the seed that was laid then is how Trump came to be.
Right.
There's a direct line between the two, you know? And so for me, it's like, okay, I understand radicalization now. I get it. I really do. I totally get that. And I also recognize the reason why for me it feels like George W. Bush, and not to just jump into the political stuff, but the reason why it feels like that to me is because, quite frankly, much like W did, this dude is making good on every campaign promise that he put forth.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's no reason for those that support him to go against him.
Yeah.
At all. And that's just a fact. You know, this wasn't a case of like, oh, he said one thing in the campaign and now he's doing something different, so people are gonna not be happy with him. It's like, nah. This nigga was like, nah, I hate Muslims, I hate Black people, I hate women. I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that those people are pushed down and white men are on top. And he's doing everything within his power to make that happen. And so this is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And I don't see any, like, the thing is that we have had such a, in this country, we've had a really poor positioning of justice and equality, right? We've had a positioning of equality in the framework of being as close to the power that white men hold as possible.
Right.
And when everything is positioned that way, you are never going to find unity in movement spaces between these different people that are being oppressed, because each of them is trying to be like white men. And it doesn't work. And so that's why I see the quote unquote left, or whatever they want to call themselves, progressives, whatever. I don't know, whatever.
I don't even know. I don't know
labels.
what I don't know what the right name is. Now it's liberals are bad. Okay, what is progressive? No, it's not progressive. Leftist, communist. What? I don't. Here's the thing. I don't give a fuck. At this point, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I just want you guys to get your fucking shit together and figure out
And
what's
they're all
going.
trash anyways. Look, I was at Netroots a couple weeks ago. You know, this is their
God.
big show every fucking year.
Yeah.
And it was trash. It was a bunch of racist white people who came up to the safety pin box booth, and Paige was there. And for those who don't know, Paige is one of the employees of safety pin box, and she's Muslim. She wears hijab, and people, white men, openly thought it was cool to just ask her about Sharia law at a progressive conference. One of the big draws at Netroots was, what's that dude's name? That white dude with the red sweater, Ken Bone, or whatever his name is. These are the people that the progressives are courting. Okay, one of they allowed. There was a direct action during Netroots. Is it okay to talk about this here?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah. Talk
Okay, cool. So there was a direct action at Netroots, organized, of course, by Black women. Surprise. Because, you know, Stacey Abrams is running for governor of Georgia, and Netroots was in Atlanta. Stacey Abrams, if she wins, would be the first Black woman to hold the title of governor ever in the history of our country. So,
is she running as a Democrat, or is she running as something?
She's running as a Democrat. She's running as a Democrat.
Okay.
And of course, she has to get through the primary first, et cetera, et cetera. So they're about to go into primary season right now in Georgia. And one of her opponents, her name is also Stacey, White Stacey, is colloquially referred to in Georgia as the Betsy DeVos of Georgia. This is a woman who has systematically dismantled this school system for poor Black and brown children in the state. She is horrible. She's horrible. And these motherfuckers invited her to come speak at Netroots. So Black women were like, nah, this is ridiculous. Like, why are we a progressive, right? A progressive collection of people inviting somebody like this to have a stage, to share a stage, to talk to people. It's offensive. So they did a direct action during when she was supposed to take the stage. It wasn't that disruptive, but it was. I mean, they stopped what was going on. They were in the front of the room. It was really focused around this concept of trust Black women. They had signs that said that. They were saying that, and they had a couple of things they talked about, which pointed out why this woman should never have been invited to a progressive anything, much less this so-called, you know, super progressive event. When I tell you, white men, white women in the audience, shouting at them, swearing at them, telling them to sit down, looking at their badges, I'm gonna get you fired. One white man physically touched one of the women.
Oh, come on.
So when I tell you that these spaces are not, this is why we have Trump, because all these motherfuckers are racist.
Yeah.
And they really are they have such a small sliver of what they consider progressiveness to be. And it's really about white people's agendas, and that's it.
Right. And it's just like, there has to be a hard reality of, I don't even, and that's the thing, that's where I think a lot of Black people are just in support of, like, yo, everything we do, like, there needs to be a lot of change, and the change don't come from us. Like, it's just, there's a lot of, white people need to get their shit together. Like, and it's just, like, across the board. whether you're Democrat, Republican, leftist, communist, socialist, I don't give a fuck. Like, if you're white, I kind of, honestly, don't trust you. And I don't, because, like, there always seems to be a line. But it's just like when women don't trust men. You know? Like, again, we're going to say some of the stuff for later on. Like, there's a good, like, warm-up for what we're going to get into when we talk about the politics stuff. But, like, I don't call myself a feminist. The reason why I don't call myself a feminist is because I think there's this thing that when male feminists do this, it's like they make it about themselves, right?
Right.
And it's just like, it always just feels weird about that. That doesn't mean, and I also know that I got a lot of work I need to do. There's a lot of things I need to work on and do. But it just feels like you have to be aware of that. And so if you're going to be a man working against male privilege and things like that, you have to be actively working and realizing that even when you're uncomfortable and you don't agree with something, that might mean that you need to go back to the drawing board and look some things up. So it's just like, and that's where it needs to come from men. Yeah, there are trash women out there. There are some women who don't believe in feminism. That's not it's not women as a whole, though, that need to change to work on ending patriarchy in the society. It's not. It's men. It's people with penises. It's us. Like, we have to do this shit. And so the work is required on us. And I don't understand how, like, if let's say if I get into a space that there are women there and they don't trust me, I can't be offended by that because, well, shit, I mean, history says I'm probably shitty. I'm probably problematic. You have a good reason to distrust me, you know? And we need to work on addressing that. That's not on women. That's not on the marginalized. It's on the people that have the privilege. And that's the fight that's going forward from here. And, it's not looking good. So, but before we get into that, again, like I said, a little teaser for what we're going to be talking about. Couple things, housekeeping things I want to get into talking about, what you have going on there. Cause like I said, since the last time you've been on the show, I feel like every time you come onto the show, there's like 2 to 3 times more stuff going on with you, Marissa, safety pin box, and everything else going on. So we're gonna add in a minute. Real quick, I'm hoping that next week I will be launching the Patreon. I'm gonna again try out the streaming thing, but at least we'll be able to get the Patreon up. So if you want to be an MTR Premium member or you want to get streaming in, you either do it on the site or you can do the Patreon account. Particularly if you want streaming, you got to go through Patreon. We'll put that up there soon, coming this week. What was I gonna say? Something else I was gonna say and tied to that, but I'll remember it later on. Also, Secret Sauce officially now has its own page and feed on iTunes. It got approved for Google Music yesterday, and by the time you hear this, it should also be up on Stitcher. If not, it will be on Stitcher soon. They'll approve it soon. I'm still waiting for it to get approved onto our provider page, but Secret Sauce has its own episode up, and episode 5 will be coming, if not this week, by next weekend. That'll be there as well. So again, if you don't know what Secret Sauce is, that's a show being run by LaToya, and she interviews a bunch of black women. It's basically the show that spun out of our Black Woman Shout Out show. So anybody who emails us, you're a black woman, you want free promotion on the MTR network, email us at bwbusiness@mtrnetwork.net. That email also goes to LaToya. She'll reach out to you, and she'll try to get a little interview out there. So you have your own little segment on the show. And then we're going to start doing little spotlights on black women on the MTR network under the landing page for Secret Sauce on the site. So, we're trying to grow all that stuff. So stay tuned for that. And, again, premium stuff and everything else. You guys know MTR Network support is there. I know Phenom and I are getting ready to start ratcheting back up for New York Comic Con. It comes out in October, and shit, next week is September. So we got to start emailing people and getting our shit together for that. So anything that you support us with MTR Premium or the Patreon will help us getting all that stuff together. And that's the big stuff. Oh, and look, I'm running behind. The premium shows are coming out. I got 3. We're recording Saga 1 tomorrow. I have a Spider-Man 2 one re-recorded. And there's a Docu-Drunks episode that I honestly forgot that they had recorded. And I just got the write-up for it. So I'll put that out as well. They'll be out hopefully by Monday. All 3 of those episodes will be out. So check that out as well. And all right. So let's move on. Let's get into this. Like I said, if you don't know about safety pin box right now, I don't know where the fuck you've been at. Like, this is like you guys have done so many. Like, I like to say, I got the first interview, didn't I?
You did, yeah. You were the first that interviewed us.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Interviewed me about it, and
yeah. I brag about that. So, yeah. So, for those who don't know, for some of them living under a rock, can you give a quick overview of what Safety Pin Box is?
Sure. Safety Pin Box is a monthly subscription service for white people that are looking to be better allies in the fight for Black liberation and to be less harmful to marginalized people. And so we send them tangible things that they can do to change their lives and their sphere of influences. And while we do that with the white folks, the real focus of the business is to move resources and money from white people directly to Black women. And so we have our Black Women Being program where we give financial gifts to Black women every single month. We've given away over $100,000 since January. And so we're just, chugging along, building. We've
since
added,
January.
What's that?
Since January.
Yeah, since January. It's been pretty amazing. I mean, Marissa, Janae Johnson, who is my co-founder, we launched Safety Pin Box last year, end of last year, kind of thinking, we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll at least get some dollars for ourselves and be able to give a little bit of money away. But it has since become both of our full-time jobs, and we've rolled out a kids series. So because we had a lot of requests for people to do this work with their families, we have group content available for these useless ass white anti-racism groups that don't do shit. And we also just this week had our first Safety Pin Box Live event in Minneapolis, which is where I am at right now. Actually, we did it on Thursday. So we're going to be going to Houston, Charlotte, Seattle before the end of this year. And then we'll see what happens next year with all that. So it's been a big, 8 months for us. We've been chugging along. We have, I think, last count, just over 1,400 subscribers, which is unbelievable to think about.
Wow.
And yeah, we've just been really building and really seeing how far we can get this. We've added 3 staff members since the last time I was on as well, which has been really great for Marissa and I to be able to focus on some high level stuff. And so we have Jasmine Banks, who's our marketing and development director. She's amazing and has been doing some really incredible stuff on that side of things. We have Asa, who does our customer engagement and deals with customer service, and Paige, who keeps Marissa and I both sane, and she also runs all of the SPB live events. So yeah, we're doing well. It's been going well. Obviously, it's been interesting because I honestly thought by this point somebody would be trying to do what we do, and there's nobody.
I think it's fine. It's funny too, because we talked about the first time we talked about this was like, I wonder how long a white woman's gonna come through and try to steal this shit, right?
Yeah. How long is it gonna be? Mm-hmm. But they're trash, so they really can't. Right. I realized that actually very quickly on, because I've seen, there's a few people I see them trying to come for our launch destination. They're trying to do something, women's march. They're trying to do a little something. But when it comes down to it, like they aren't, have you heard this phrase? I've been hearing it in like all sorts of these trash org circles. Building an equitable democracy. Have you heard this phrase? You're gonna hear it a lot. If this is your first time hearing it, let me tell you something. Y'all about to hear it every fucking where.
Oh God, equitable.
And so all of this shit is like built around these like really weird buzzwords, but there's no tangible shit they're actually asking people to do. And secondarily, like nobody else benefits from any of the other stuff. So, for us, we've just been trying to continue to build. I mean, and push as hard as we can. It's been really dope to get some pretty radical politics in the hands of white people who, I see them on Facebook, like going ham on folks. It's hilarious to me. Cause I'll see their words and I'm like, damn, like that's a subscriber for sure. A Black dude reached out to us and they were like, yeah, this white woman went sideways. Cause I guess people were talking about some issue. It doesn't even matter what the issue was,
right.
But a bunch of people had commented, including one Black person. And the person the original poster decided to come for the Black dude. And one of our subscribers was like, let me ask you a question. Do you know this person personally? And they're like, no. Well, then why did you single out the Black person to talk to about this issue? Let's have a conversation. Like went off on her. And I was like, oh. And the Black guy's like, I clicked through and I was like, oh shit, yep, they think you've been back subscriber. So, it's been great to actually have an answer when white people earnestly say, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start.
Right.
And so that's been great to actually have a way to be like, yeah, here, do this. You can do this work. And you're also providing, tangible support for Black women. And so it's been great. It's been very rewarding for us,
and that's
and a little crazy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, because like we're tired. Like it's like the other day when after Charlottesville, when Lady Gaga was all, "Oh, Black people, tell us what to do," and like your first reaction as a Black person is to roll your eyes and go, "Are you fucking serious?" Like, listen, go out there, listen to what they're saying, and do this stuff. But then you also, like, and again, not to excuse Lady Gaga, I think it was just fucking stupid. It's like, as somebody pointed out, it's like, well, you could stop working with R. Kelly. That's a good start. Like,
you could start there.
Let's start small. Right? Start small.
Stop taking pictures of people, dancers in blackface. You can start there.
Hey, well, we start, like, it's like, so not to excuse Lady Gaga, but just like, it's one of the things, sometimes you see these people who, like, for instance, last night after the tweet fest, or the news fest of Trump, and I don't think Marcos from Daily Kos is 100% white, but did you see that tweet he did about basically where he...
I went off. I had a whole thread on that bullshit.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, and just be clear, he is Latinx, but he is
okay.
white. So I just wanted to clarify that
situation,
because some white women try to go, he's from El Salvador. Bitch, you can be from El Salvador and be white.
Right.
Just so you know, just like you can be from El Salvador and be Black. So those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Right. So he says...
You heard it here first.
So he says, a white supremacist president will pardon other white supremacists. Not bad. That's a valid point. That's what happens when community colors don't vote. God damn it. All right. But the point of this is not him. He's fucking trash. But it's like, this is a guy who runs large progressive organizations. And so you might have a white person going, but I read Daily Kos. I've followed his work. I thought he's one of the good ones. If those progressive areas aren't safe and aren't good for communities of color, which ones are?
Right.
And so that's where things like CT Pinbox come in. And it's like, yeah, there might actually be some good white people out there who are trying to do the right thing, but the organizations that they think are supportive of these communities aren't really that supportive of these communities. So you need something like Safety Pin Box to kind of guide them to, hey, yeah, you got to be aware of these things, because, yeah, some of these people are just as anti-Black and anti-people of color as everybody else is. Like,
and also, I've just found most white people that say that shit, they don't actually mean it. Mm-hmm. They really don't. Because if they did, like, Safety Pin Box would have like 1 million subscribers right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very it's been something that we've continually have to understand. Even when they say they want something, they don't really want it. Well, and they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of, grandstanding. And so I say it all the time. I'm like, who's the ideal Safety Pin Box subscriber? It's a white person that says, I need to know what to do, and they actually mean it.
Right.
And that's a very small sliver of white people, to be perfectly honest.
Well, it's like when, so after we did the first interview, and because that was right after the election, right? I think that might have been December.
Yes, it was.
And so from December to January, and you say I still get this shit, but it was really heavy then. It was a huge attack from these white-led leftists who are supposed to be on our side and progressive and care, and they were literally attacking you and Marissa as scammers, performative white guilt, and doing all this shit. And it was the same people that goes, yeah, I'm trying to help, I'm on your side, and I tried, and I'm like, so, but none of them even. Because you guys gave out, like, there was, like, if you sign up for the newsletter, you got, like, you got, like, one free task, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, everybody can go. You can get a free task right now. It's 4 weeks worth for free.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, but none of these people that were complaining ever did that. So I'm like, you can get a task for free to see if this is even for you. Critique what's actually happening. What's actually happening and what they're doing. Like, if I see a valid critique of, I don't agree that these tasks are really going to be helpful, I think you guys will also be, open to hearing the critique, if it was a valid critique. But you never got any of that, right? It was never any of that. It was just, it's a scam. Look at how much they're charging for this. Oh, they're doing this. They're just trying to, they're just taking advantage of people. And I'm like, but is the work they're actually doing? Like, again, I've said it before. Let's say you guys are taking advantage of white people to give money to Black people.
Why y'all care though?
Right. That's the first question. Like, if the money's going to Black women,
especially if Black people come at us, I'm like, if you really think I'm just scamming white folks and giving money away to Black people, seems like that should be okay with you.
That was the remember it was the Lupita and Rihanna picture that people were like they need to have a movie where it's just them scamming a rich old white person. So it's like, yo, so if that's what Marissa and Leslie are doing, if I'm black, I'm just like, ain't my fucking problem, right? Because it's like, well, the money's going back into our community, right? Yeah. Yeah, well, get your money. Like I have no problem with that. And then you realize, like you said, it's not that. It's that it's you guys who came up with the idea. It's you doing it, and they didn't think of it. It's jealousy. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's not working. It's not that they really care. It's that, wait, so if I can take this money and give it to black women who need it, what is the critique here? There is none. You guys are also working on a book, right?
Well, we are working on a book, all right. Yeah. We one of our subscribers actually is our book agent, and they reached out to us pretty soon after we launched, after they became a subscriber. Her name's Wendy Goose. She's awesome. And is actually a non-black POC, but really has found a lot of value in being a subscriber, Stacey Pinbox. And she was like, I really think this would be a dope to be in a book. Now, this is something Marissa and I had talked about, like, eventually maybe we'll get to something like this, like whatever. She's like, nah, we should do it now. Wendy really pushed us. And so we put a book proposal together, and it was an interesting process. I didn't know much. I don't know any. I'm not a writer by trade. It's not my right. first job, so to speak. Marissa is one, so she was a little bit more familiar with the process. But let me just say one thing: like, the book publishing world is trash, and it is like the most confusing. I mean, the fact that you need an agent alone was really right. eye-opening. Because it's clear you need somebody that actually has your best interests in mind throughout the process, because you will and could be taken advantage of very easily. So that was really interesting. And then, we put a book proposal together and kind of sent it out and waited to see what was going to happen. And it was interesting. We had a few people interested, and we had a few meetings that went really badly. It was funny because, Marissa and I have very clear vision for ourselves and for right. our business, and so for us it was about seeing if this was going to be a place that we could be as radical as we are or not. And so when we would ask a question like, great, well, I noticed that most of the books that you have on your in your catalog are written by white men, what concessions or what changes do you think are going to have to be made in order to work with two black women? And the response is like, we wouldn't need to make any changes. Our process is colorblind. Goodbye. Like, you're not the one for us. But in the end, we ended up getting a really amazing editor named Aaron from HarperCollins. And so we are working on a book, Stacey Pinbox book. It's going to be coming out next fall, which is really fast. So we are writing the book like right now. Marissa's probably writing chapters I see her Facebook to you.
Yeah, I see her Facebook statuses about it. Like, I'm supposed to be writing right now, but instead I'm in the Google chat with Safety Pinbox, and I'm just like,
It's really a lot, because we are trying to get it all. We need to have it written by November, so we're really
this November.
This November we have to have it written by this November so it can come out next fall. And it's very unusual that HarperCollins really wants to fast track it and wants it out quickly. Mm-hmm. Usually it takes like 3 years to get a book from deal to publish. So we're in the thick of it. We're excited. For us, it's really about exposing more people to Safety Pinbox itself and building more subscribers, always more subscribers. And so it's going to be a really great opportunity for people to learn a little bit more about what we're about, and it really tackles this notion of allyship. Right. And it really is going to talk a lot about, you say you want to be an ally, let's get into it. And it's written in our normal, casual, the way we talk. So there'll be all sorts of words in it. We have a vision of having like little icons of ourselves that like pop up and be like, this is what ratchet means. This is what, because we really want it to sound like us, and we're really excited. Our editor's super on board with all of those things. And so, it's coming soon.
It's funny you mentioned how trash the publishing world can be, because remember, this is like when, that one publisher who was publishing Roxane Gay's book then also picked up Milo's book, right? And she was like, oh, no, I got to get out. Like, that's what, I can imagine people of color have to deal with that kind of shit all the time. It's just like, I mean, well, that's the thing. Any institution in America pretty much is going to be it's gonna be trash in that kind of regard.
Yeah, and it's also one of those weird things that's like kind of like shrouded in secrecy a lot. Bassie and us, we happen to have the same editor. So when we were evaluating, I actually had somebody I knew to talk to about their experience with the person and with the publisher and everything, which was a really, you know, unusual phenomenon, because even Bassie and I were talking about it, and she was like, yeah, you know, one of the things that's been strange is nobody wants to talk about the process. It's like this secret, like, well, if I tell you about it, then there'll be more of you and less for me, kind of like, you know, this scarcity model of things. So you'd ask somebody like, well, how'd you get your book out there? Oh, you know, I wrote some blogs and then I got a TV deal. Like, that's not really how it works.
But that's how podcasting was for some people at some point. It's like, oh no, I can't really tell you. So it's like, it was always weird when I have people nowadays try to tell me, it's like, wait, why are you just tell me how you did it? I was like, yeah. She's like, if you want to start your own podcast, I'll tell you how to do it. It's fine. You're not worried about it being oversaturated. It's like, if your stuff is good, it'll be good and you'll succeed. If you really want it that way and you can get yourself out there, it's fine. It's not going to be easy, but it's hard work, because we all had the hard work. It's not like almost nobody gets I woke up one day, I put a podcast out and instantly had 1 million subscribers or 1,000 subscribers or fucking even 100 subscribers. This doesn't fucking happen for most of us. That's not the ordinary thing. So yeah, I'll tell you, because guess what? If you do somehow blow up, I've helped you. And now I can talk to you and you can help me. Like, it's supposed to be, it should be that way. But yeah, I've run into that before, and I always find that weird that people want to be secretive about that. It's like when I was telling people how to do, I told people about how to apply for press passes for like New York Comic Con in San Diego. And I told people exactly what I do. And some people were just like, oh, wow, yeah, you just be open and honest. Like, yeah, because if you get in, you get in. If you don't, you don't. It's like, I don't think that me telling you that how to get in is going to people go, oh, well, now Kriss and the Insanity Report and the MTR Network, well, now you guys can't come in either. It's like, no, it's not going to happen. Wait, we're established. We've been here. We're pretty much established now that when we do get a nod for something like New York Comic Con, I can email the people and go, listen, I think this is a mistake. And they go, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we fixed that. Right? Like, I can use that. I'm telling people what I did and who to do. We've shared now with, you know, the emails we get in about press opportunities. Like, yeah, because if one of us eats, we all eat. Like, that's how it should be. But it's just it's weird.
It's very strange. But anyways, it was really great to have Bassie. She's been such a great support for me through the process, because you can feel kind of like it's so much judgment, you know? And also this notion, Marissa and I talked about this the other day, of like, okay, we have a book deal now, it's great. But to get that deal, like, there was a room full of white people that had to look and decide if we were worthy or not.
Right.
And it's really been an interesting thing, you know, all the stuff that's happened with Safety Pin Box has kind of like become, you know, a validator of both Marissa and I, which is really weird. And also it's allowed people to like to kind of have their own story about who we are and what we're about. And it's been a really surreal, you know, it's just been a really surreal year so far, just in that alone, just seeing how people react to us differently. And because we're the same people. Right. And also it's, you know, people will leave with safety pin boxes if we didn't do anything before this. And it's been a really interesting, time. And we only expect it to get crazier. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So of course, so a couple months ago, there was, you know, when we went signed the memo yesterday, but there was a talk about the transgender ban from Trump. There was the issue with Little Duval and the Breakfast Club, and at the same time, it's like not saying that these issues don't happen constantly, but it just feels like it was like a dump of all of this. Like the president, you had a popular black show. You had a comedian in Dave Chappelle, like all this just come out. And I know you guys also had this Marshall P. Johnson box, right? That dealt with transgender issues, particularly black women, black trans people. And it got me thinking. It was like, are you guys looking at maybe expanding Safety Pin Box? Because like, obviously you're doing, you know, it's for white allies, but that Marshall P. Johnson box could be for anybody who's cisgendered. Right? That's a good task.
It could be, for sure. I mean, it's something we've definitely had people ask us about, but I will say the content for to make for Black people in particular is much more difficult.
Right.
It has to be way more nuanced, and I do think that there is a case to be made that political education in Black communities needs to be a focus right now. I think it's something that we have ignored for a really long time. And it's something that's critical. And it's interestingly enough, it's something that our white subscribers have been, running into. Some of their more conservative Black friends or, neighbors, because they live in nice neighborhoods and they're Black professionals, and they hear, the white person will, our subscribers will be like, yeah, man, I don't fuck with the police. Like, I don't want to call the police no more. One of the things we ask them to do is like have conversations in their community about what steps are they going to take when something happens in their community before calling the police, right? Which is a small thing, but it's really kind of trying to get them to think about safety beyond policing.
Right.
And, they'll be like, yeah, but our Black neighbors are like, nah, these are thugs, call the police on them. And so it's been interesting to see all of those things play out. And I think political education in our communities are really critical. I don't know if this is the model that will work for that, mostly because we really don't want to take money from Black people, and we don't work for free. So those two things together, like, make it a little bit more difficult, but there might be a way to, there might be something. I don't know. It's definitely, it would be tricky to do for sure.
Right. Because it was just one of the things I was thinking about. I was like, yo, you do something for like, and again, still centering on Black women and Black people, but like, one for Black men and how to support Black women, and dealing with patriarchy. Like, it's stuff like that. Because like I said, seeing some of the things that were in the Marsha P. Johnson box and some of the text, I think even I think at one point, I think the box that came out a month before, and then the stuff happened, and I think Marissa might have posted some of these tasks, in addition to some of the people to that they can donate to on Facebook, or something like that. And I was like, yo, these are things that I think everybody should kind of, this isn't, these are things that I think all of us need to, with a privileged class, need to look at it and be like, yeah, we all need to kind of answer some of these things. So I don't know, it was just one of the things that came to my mind when I was thinking about this stuff. Because like I said,
no, it's definitely true. We have quite a few non-Black POC subscribers who have found, because they live in a mostly white world and certainly have a lot of privileges that are similar to white privilege that they deal with, and they found it to be really useful in things that their interactions with the world has been shifted by that. But it's definitely complicated. Also, folks can buy our overstock content, including the Marsha P. March box, which is on sale on our website. And great thing about that box is forever. Anytime you buy that, the money goes directly to the Marsha P. Johnson Institute. Right. So you're always giving back to a really great organization that's doing dope work for Black trans women.
Right. And I can shout out to you because I actually used that. You did a thread on Twitter that had a bunch of organizations and or even personal PayPal links to trans women of color to support, actually trans Black women to support, and I that was our Black women shout out for one episode, because I was just like, yo, just donate to all these places. Like, these are all this is a list that I got from Leslie. These are all organizations that cater to this community. These are the places you can go and donate to. So, I just want to shout you out for that one. So, real quick to move on before we get into all the political shit. This is something that kind of tied into what we were just talking about and what you're doing with Safety Pin Box. I don't know if you saw the article. There was an article that came out about Daniel Radcliffe and his comments about his racist friends.
Yeah.
So it was like, Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter. Said, I know some really fucking racist people, friends I vehemently disagree with. The actor recently declared in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. They're not white supremacists, though. They are. They would never be that extreme. They are. But they are anti-immigration and absolutely voted to leave in Brexit, Radcliffe added. And I'm still friends with them because I don't think that friendship should draw along those lines. And what bothers me with that is, I really want to. I didn't see the Hollywood Reporter, and I don't know who the reporter is who asked the question. Because my next follow-up question would be, what line would you draw the friendship on then?
Yeah.
Like, if
where's the line then, Daniel? Do tell.
Right.
Tell.
If racism isn't the line for your friendship, what is? Because and I think that's the thing that makes me nervous for the future.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, like, I think that we're seeing a lot of noise. Because, again, we have social media now blowing up more than it ever did during the Bush years. So I think we're seeing a lot of people talk about these issues, and it's being talked about amongst people who get it. I don't know if it's permeating beyond that, though, into actual people who understand that, what Daniel Radcliffe just said here is stupid. Like, I was just on TV, I was just watching CNN, and Smirkanish, who, again, he said some dumb shit anyway, was going to this line about how we need to be more understanding that not every Trump supporter is a racist. I'm like, but they are. Like, you need to treat, like, I wish white people treated racism like we treat most crimes. Like, if you, and I'm not saying that the way we treat these crimes is correct anyway, but I'm just saying that if that's the model you're going to use that. If you went to go rob a bank and I drove you to the bank, knowing you're going to rob the bank, so you come out with bags of money, get in my car, and then drive away, guess what happens? I get labeled a criminal, an accomplice, and I go to jail too. It doesn't matter that I didn't enter the bank. It doesn't matter that I didn't rob anybody. It doesn't matter. Hell, if you kill somebody in that bank, I go down for felony murder too. It doesn't matter if I shot the person or not. Like,
and it doesn't matter if you didn't get any of the money that was stolen.
No,
because that's the other. I mean, none of those things are pertinent to the fact that you committed a crime.
None of them are. So it's like, why is it that you don't treat racism that way? You can't be racist adjacent. You can't be friends with a racist. You can't vote for a racist and then go, well, I'm not racist. Yes, you are. Right. That is racism. And I feel like it's a problem. Like, and I just had Justin on the last show, and I totally get this point. Like, it's easy for me to say that these white supremacists are Nazis because it's brevity. Like, yeah, they're fucking Nazis. All right. They're all, but see, I think all black people are like this. We understand that Nazis are no different than KKK, which are no different from white supremacists. It's all fucking the same. They're all the same to us. Yep. We don't draw a line. The problem is a lot of white people draw the line. The same thing you see.
They do draw a line. They draw a line because here's one of the things white supremacy does is that it allows white people to compartmentalize racism in a very specific way because it doesn't actually affect them. So they can say, well, I agree with these parts of this person, but not these parts, and that's okay because we are all allowed to do whatever the fuck we want to do.
It's a buffet.
And then it's a buffet, whatever. We can pick and choose. And the second thing is always this issue of the assumption of white innocence, and then the privilege of individualism that white people hold in our society. And so it doesn't matter what they do individually. It's never something that is indicative of the whole because they're individuals. They're not part of any sort of large group of people. And then the innocence piece is just Daniel really comes from a place of like, there's no way his friends could really be bad people. They're all good people.
You realize it's a straight line. There's no difference. It's no different from the person who voted to leave in Brexit, who's anti-immigration, but because they don't put the white sheet on, they're okay. Like, that's the other thing too. Like, and that's why I'm not feeling this idea that we've come together and now that, because that was the idea from a lot of white progressives. And okay, when I say liberals and progressives, I mean everybody left of center. All right. I don't know what the correct term is for leftist, socialist. I don't know I don't give a fuck. I honestly don't. Because honestly, they all come off the same to me. In that, like, that was the thing that, oh, well, the thing about a Trump presidency will be it'll jumpstart the revolution. And now that it's all out in the open, everybody knows. And I'm like, no, that's not what happens. We've done this before. We've had Bush. Yeah, granted, Trump is eminently worse than Bush. Like, honestly, this is going to come back when I talk about Hillary Clinton. We were better under Bush than we are under Trump. That is not an endorsement of George W. Bush. That's take away the bull. That's just show how far we've fallen under Trump already. All right, that is an indication of where we are right now. But like, you people say the same thing under Bush. Like, oh, well, no, I mean, yeah, sure, Islamophobia and everything like that, but I'm not racist. Yeah, you are. And then we drew that line of, well, no, look, they're not racist because they're not the KKK. Like, you're using the most extreme versions. You're using the KKK and the neo-Nazis and the people that honestly don't give a fuck. All right? As the line, and not realizing that line and that bar is on the fucking floor. Like, that is the bare minimum. Like, that is like saying, you know what? I'm starting a new diet today. And I am going to cut out eating candy. But I'm still going to have cake. I'm still going to have the sugary sodas. I have all this other stuff. Like, yeah, you cut out the bare minimum stuff, and you're not going to lose weight off of that. You're not going to. Right. That's not going to help you. Like you're ignoring everything else. Oh well, yeah. I'm just saying. No. Like, oh, I'm still gonna eat pizza. I'm just gonna get thin crust. It's like, that's still fucking bad for you. You know, it's like the people that I used to when I worked at IBM. We had a cafeteria in there, and they like made to order stuff, and they had like a grill. And this is when the I don't know if it was the South Beach. It was the quick diet phase, the high protein diet phase. So you get people to come in. It's like, yo, I want a burger. Hold the bun. So they would get this greasy ass Santa Fe burger with like fried onions, all the stuff on, melted cheese all over the fucking thing, wrap it in a piece of lettuce, and I'm like, so are you also working out? No, I'm not. I'm just trying to lower my carbs. So you're not working out, so you're not really benefiting from this high protein diet, and also you're eating a greasy ass fucking burger. That's not healthy. Yeah. That is what's happening with this. It's like you set the bar at neo-Nazis and KKK, not realizing that your buddy who voted for Trump, who agreed with everything else on Trump, because I still haven't found anybody to explain to me how you voted for Trump and what was appealing about Trump outside of the racism.
Yeah, I haven't had literally, like, I don't even get into those conversations because if there is a blessing of Tupe Fiasco's presidency, it's that I don't have to listen to any of those people anymore, because all of the rhetoric that they spent all of the time, the rest of my entire life spouting family values and religion and all of this shit. This dude doesn't believe any of those things. He doesn't stand for any of them. He's made it very clear he has nothing to do with any of those things. So they kind of, like, in my mind, they don't have a leg to stand on at all. I don't need to hear. I literally just, like, you lost any. You didn't even have much of an argument before, but now you really don't have an argument.
You don't care about facts.
And you've proven it.
There's no facts. You don't care about facts. You don't care about having. Like, you don't care about having an actual conversation. Like, they're like, we got to talk to these Trump voters. I'm like, how can you talk to them when they deny basic facts?
Yeah.
Like, you can't. That's not the parameter for the debate. It's over. We can't agree on basic facts. It's like me trying to argue. I liken it to this. It's me when they try to argue with people who believe in a flat Earth. Like, no, I'm not gonna do this. we can't do this. The Earth is round. Like, we're not. You believe the Earth is flat? Well, you're an idiot. That's in the story. You know, we can't make them feel bad about that. Like, that's the thing that gets me, right? When Kyrie Irving says that the Earth is flat, nobody's going, oh well, we need to respect his opinions, and we need to take his feelings and his thoughts. No, you clown the fuck out of him. But when it's Trump voters, when they're white Trump, and I'm not even saying white, because there's Trump voters, because there are some black Trump voters, there are some Latino ex-Trump voters out there. Like, it's the same thing to me. Why would I argue with them about basic facts? They're denying this. What do we do from here?
I know there is nowhere to go with it. And that's why, for me, like, one of the things about Safety Pin Box is, like, recognizing that Marissa and I recognize, like, understanding that there will be people, marginalized people, black trans people, LGBTQ people that will not survive this presidency. They will die as a result of what happens, right? And so if that is the reality, and we understand that, for us, it's been materially about how do we get additional resources to those folks, because we we already knew that the safety nets that were in place were already stacked against us. They
Right.
never favored us, whether it's affirmative action or Medicaid or really any of the systems that people love to say, like, oh, the takers,
Right.
whatever. They never were
us,
stacked
yeah.
in the favor of black and brown people.
Never.
So, and now knowing that even those bare minimum
Are taken away.
Of safety nets are going to be gone, like I just have not seen people truly like understand that. Like there's so even I did a whole thread about the Daniel Radcliffe thing, and 95% of the white people that replied made some comments about James and Lily would disown you and from their graves. Like they talked about it as if it was Harry Potter. That's how fucking disconnected from reality white people are. That I made a thread about how disturbing it is to see a white person, a very public white person, admit that they're fine being friends with racists because it doesn't touch them. And white people's first response is to talk about how it hurts them because they love Harry Potter.
But I'm still gonna watch those movies though, right?
Like what are you talking about right now? What you need to be doing is thinking about how this is something that is also alive in you. Which of your friends are racist that you are okay having over to dinner and putting in contact with people of color you claim to care about?
I put it, yeah.
This is the shit I'm talking about.
It's like when because I brought this up. We've brought this up several times. Because I remember when again, I'm not even sure. The one thing I appreciate about the Radcliffe thing is it's like at least open and honest with it, right? Because this is what white people do all the time. Katy Perry did the same thing about going to Thanksgiving after the election, going to Thanksgiving with her Trump voting family. Well, I'm not going to disown them, guys. And everybody was like, and black people were just like, maybe you should. And you get white people come, a lot of white women, like, well, no, it doesn't make any sense. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, I've kind of stopped talking to a lot of my family that is homophobic. I've done that, but they don't get that. But then I turn on them and was like, so look, you're talking to me. I'm a man. How would you? What would you feel if I said, "Yo, my man, he is a misogynistic son of a bitch. He might have actually even raped some women, but he's still my boy, so I'm cool with him." How would you feel then if I said that? I had one woman I said that to, and she was just like, "Oh shit, I get it now." And I'm like, yeah. See, I had to put it in context of you understanding. You didn't understand when we first told it to you. Once I put it in context that it's like it could happen to you and it's happened to you, all of a sudden it's fine. Like it's like when we start going, 53% of white women and white women go, not all white women. We're like, yeah, so about not all men. Oh yeah, I'm doing that too, ain't I? Yeah, you kind of are. Yeah. Funny how that works, right? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's just one of the, like I said, I saw it and was just like, well, at least he's honest with it. But yeah, no, dude, that makes you racist because it means you're comfortable enough with racism. The same thing that happened.
I mean, look, what you have said is you're friends with racists, you're fine being around racists, and you're cool not calling them out on their racism. You know what that sounds like to me? A fucking racist. So I don't really know how there's any differentiation because you look like one, you're talking like one, you're allowing that shit in your presence. I don't know what to say about that. There's nothing else really to say.
I'm not sexist. I just, my boys make sexist jokes and they street harass women and, when they're at the club and they get a little drunk, they might actually grab up and feel on women though. But I'm not sexist. I just, because I don't do that. But yeah, he's my boy though. I can't turn my back on him. Oh, that's okay. We're not. Oh, that's not okay. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Right. So, all right. So let's get into this Friday Trump news dump here. So there are more than three things here, but I'll give you the three things I had in here, and we'll go through them one at a time. There was neo-Nazi sympathizer Sebastian Gorka finally resigned or was fired or where the fuck happened. Trump signs a memo that tells the military to ban transgender people, and then he trifecta, hit the triple double, hit the pardons Joe Arpaio, which I'm not gonna lie, I knew he wasn't gonna do at the rally, and then when he did the rally, I was like, oh, he's gonna do it eventually. I didn't think he'd do it this soon. I'll be honest, like even that caught me off guard, and I'm not caught off guard by the Trump administration too often now. Even that was like, really, dude, really, on the Friday that, Harvey is making landfall down in Texas, you drop a part. Like, he didn't even wait for him to be sentenced. He was Joe wasn't Sergio. He wasn't sentenced. There was no sentencing for him yet, and you pardoned him already.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to
yeah. Like I said, he's that like virtue signaling. He's virtue signaling to all the supremacists.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They were mad about his first statement in Charlottesville, and he's like, "Let me be clear, I'm racist as fuck. Let's get Joe off the books. He'll be fine. I got him. Don't worry. I got you. I'm your dude. Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
The thing about the ban on transgender folks in the military is really
excuse me.
I'm anti-imperialism, I'm anti-military, I'm anti-war. However, we think about the military is the largest employer of transgender individuals in the entire country.
Absolutely.
So in the context of that, we're talking about materially taking away the livelihood of the most marginalized people in our communities, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I keep coming back to on it. And I knew he was going to do this pretty quickly. A friend of mine is in the Coast Guard, and they had at the Coast Guard Academy, they were going to be putting in a transgender bathroom. It had been like this big long plan. They had put it together. It was going in, and right the week before it was scheduled to like actually be open and everything relabeled and everything was when Trump made his first speech or his first announcement about tweet, I guess. I shouldn't even say announcement. His first tweet about banning transgender folks in the military. And literally from then forward, they put the brakes on the plan to open up this all gender bathroom. And I said, when they were talking to me about how because the person that I'm friends with had been one of the people spearheading this effort to make the Coast Guard Academy more inclusive, more accepting, and more comfortable for their students. And when they said it to me, and they were like, but it's not even a rule yet, was kind of the argument. I don't know why the generals are acting on it as if it's a rule. And I said, because it's going to be, and it's going to be very soon, and they know that. Yeah. And so I wasn't surprised at all. I was like, oh, it's clear, this was going to be something. I mean, the things that have surprised me most about how quickly all of this stuff with regard to Trump and this administration has been the things that have become normalized, like announcing governmental policy via tweet, when the Senate didn't even want President Obama to have a Twitter account until his second term. Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't allow him to have his own phone to even tweet from. Yeah. Because national security, right? So those are the things that I just start to look at and just really, it's been a disturbing I imagine this is what it was like living in Germany during the rise of the Third Reich, looking around and feeling like this is happening and nobody is doing anything and nobody is saying anything, and we're just casually moving this line further and further and further. I read this morning that Trump has given new powers to police in schools to target potential students that are not here in the country, quote unquote, legally. Because the Dream Act, they're still, he has to still make a decision on the Dreamers, and every time they say he hasn't made a decision on certain things, where he's going. You know where he's going. We already know. And I said, this dude told us what he was going to do, and that's one thing I'll say. I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. There's nothing I have to say about President Trump and how he ran his campaign and how he came into office, because he has been upfront about this bullshit from jump. Yeah. He announced his presidency calling Mexican people racist, y'all. None of this is surprising. He has been very clear about how fuck shit he is, how inappropriate he was going to be, how terrible he actually is as both a human being, business person, and now politician. None of it is surprising. Yeah. I don't have to me, it's not a bait and switch situation going on here.
I hate seeing people say that. I hate people trying to make it seem like, well, he did. No, he did. We told you he was going to do that. You're speaking of things that you're so quick that normalizing. Remember, the outrage a little bit of Michelle, Barack and Michelle moving in Michelle's mom to help with Willie and Sasha. Now you literally haven't Ivanka Trump has a fucking office. Nobody knows what her fucking job is. She has a job. She's getting paid. what? And it's just like, that's the stuff that kind of still shocks me, that we're allowing this to happen and go on. And it's ridiculous. And I saw, like I said, I saw the article about him empowering. Again, he was all law and order. He told you, like, he was a law and order candidate. Like, it was all there up front.
The day he took office, he took down the civil rights section of the White House website and put up a law and order one. None of this shit is surprising. It shouldn't be surprising to any of you. And this is the thing about white people, that they continually will believe in innocence of whiteness.
Oh, over anything else.
Despite any information to the contrary. And conversely, will interrogate blackness instead of interrogating whiteness, even when it's white people being racist. And that's why you see, Marcos from the Daily Kos making that comment. Yeah, you see, your response to white people being fuck shit is to attack black folks?
Right. Yeah, come on. Get the fuck out of here.
We saw that after Charlottesville. People coming on Safety Pin Box's page to tell us that what we were doing was wrong. I was like, let me tell you what you're not going to do. You're not going to watch Nazis literally marching through streets surrounding churches with torches and come tell black women what they should and shouldn't be doing. Because if that's where your first place is to interrogate,
go talk to your neighbors.
Get the fuck out of my face.
Go talk to your neighbors. Here's the thing. I'm never so shocked by what Trump, where he lands on an issue, because it's very simple to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Did Obama put it in place, or did Obama support it? If he did, because that's basically what he asked. Did Obama support this? Oh, then we're doing that. Like, he is so petty. Like, there was an article about how he removed the secret bicycle stop or place where you could rent your bicycle at the White House. It wasn't publicized, but they put one there. It is now gone. That is what Trump. He is that fucking petty, and it's funny to me because, like, everybody told me that Obama didn't do anything, but it seems like everything that Trump's policies, positions on everything is, if Obama did it, undo it. Everything. There was a thing about Obama had a little known program about getting low income people into, like, I think public works positions. Gone. Got rid of it. Anything that if it he's literally trying to erase everything Barack Obama did. That is his policy position on everything, and that's how you can figure out where he stands on it. So when it comes to Dreamers, that's gone. That is next, because he's not going to take a position that is where Barack Obama was, or was more compassionate than Barack Obama. It's not going to happen. It's always going to go in the opposite direction. Like, it's going to happen. So folks need to be prepared. That is what's next, and it's not going to be good. And I'm honestly with you. I don't want to hear people saying how shocked they were, because we knew this was coming. So going back to the first one, Sebastian Gorka resigns. And here's the thing. Like, people are making it a big deal. It's not a big deal to me. Because here's the thing. Nope. He's a neo-Nazi sympathizer. Never should have been in office to begin with. So the fact that he was there, and, like, I always, even now when I hear people talk about it, they're not saying, it's like, well, they didn't really know what his position was, and, he was controversial. It's like, well, he was controversial because he was a neo-Nazi sympathizer. He literally wore a neo-Nazi, like, a pin from, like, it wasn't Hungary, it was somewhere that his father wore, and he wore it to the fucking inauguration. He should never have been in the White House. That is why he should have gone. That's not why he's gone. And here's the other thing, too. Trump has proven, because what they're going to do is they're going to use as a show that John Kelly is cleaning up the house and blah, blah, blah. And we got to talk about how this idea of putting all of these generals into, positions of power is fucking scary in his own right. Mm-hmm. But, like, Trump believes what Gorka thought, just like Trump believes what Bannon thought. Yep. Getting, like, them, to me, I don't even see this as resignations of them firing. I see them as job done here. Like, we made sure.
That's what I think it is too. We did what we needed to do here. Now we're going to go on the outside and do the same shit with all this information that I never even should have been privy to. Right. That's the other thing. Like, people don't even want to talk about, like, the secrets that Bannon is now holding in his decrepit ass head. That's fucking disturbing. It's scary.
They all got either temporary or actually got full security clearances. They know information. This is not going to be well. Like, you gave them, like, this is a long game here. This is beyond just what we're doing here. You're going to see this stuff being used to push policies forward for the next 20, 30, 50 years. This is fucking scary. You should never have gotten to this part. Like, their job done. They're out, but like Trump has already proved that, hey, Bannon's gone. Look what he did. He still pardoned Joe Arpaio. Like, it's Bannon there or not. Like, this is what's happening. He's already, like, it's just, I don't know. I don't see these resignations or these firings as anything else because it doesn't change anything. The guy at top is still there. The next guy in line, Mike Pence, is just as fucking bad. Like, we have to come to the terms that this is bad. And this is going to be bad. People are going to die. People are going to end up worse off. We really need to come to the terms with that. And I don't think people have. You know, Democrats have become the punching bag. Hillary Clinton, Obama, a lot of these have become punching bag. People not voting, people like black people. Like, we need to have an understanding that what goes on from here is bad. It's not going to get any better. You brought up the thing about when you're talking about the transgender people and the military. And, hey, listen, same thing here. I think sometimes we need to find a way about having nuanced conversations. Like you said, hey, you're not a fan of the military, you know, anti-imperialism. Obviously, there's a problem there. But again, the military is also the biggest, you know, employer of these marginalized people. Sometimes these are the places that people can get the best, not just transgender people, but people of color can get the best jobs. Hey, look, definitely to change that, we definitely want to be able to get people so they don't have to rely on the military, you know, to do these things. But the reality is the reality, right? Mm-hmm. So if the reality is a reality and we have to deal with what's in front of us right now, then we want to make those spaces while we're still working towards moving to something new and something better, still to make those spaces safe, right? We still want to make sure that people can, because what happens now when that system is still there, the military system is still there, but now, you know, transgender people are now kicked out. Now where do they go? Now they're in a worse position than they were before. Yeah, they shouldn't have had to deal with, in an ideal world, they wouldn't have to depend on being in the military to get employment. But now they don't even have that. So and that's like a fundamental problem I'm having with a lot of people when they talk about these things. It's like, all right, we want to get to that end goal here, but we also have the here and now. And what you're telling me is you're actually, like, are you telling me that you're okay with these people being lost between point A and point B? Because if we don't take care of what's in front of us right now, by the time we get to point B, those people that we left behind, they might be gone forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's all exactly that's really what it's about. Like, we have to have a dual approach to things. We have to, you know, build the world we need to be a reality, and we need to deal with the reality of the world we live in. We don't get to pretend as though we can only operate under the construct that we want to get to eventually. Yeah. We just don't. We don't have that luxury. I mean, white people do. Right. Let me be real. They actually do have that luxury, and that's why they're so fuck shit and useless and really incompetent when it comes to actually creating change. But black folks, LGBTQ folks, trans people, disabled folks, we don't have those luxuries. We just don't. We have, you know, to understand that we need people to be able to eat and have roofs over their heads and have health care and breathe and all of these things. The damage that is going to be done is exponential, but we have to have people able to live now. One of the things that both my work with Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism and my work as Hiju and Baptist taught me is that, like, when you have fucking resources, the things you can do will blow your fucking mind. It's amazing. And so for me, it's always about this question of, like, look, I know that most Black organizers and Black people pushing for change are doing incredible work with nothing. So
what if you gave you something?
If that's the truth, imagine what they could build, what they could do, what they could move forward with if they had all the support that they deserve. Imagine it.
Right. And
imagine a Black woman who could run her org and do her community work and not have to worry about how she was going to pay her rent at the end of the month. Imagine what that person could do.
Right. Like, we need to be able to do the both. You can't keep putting the onus on the marginalized to, you know, like you said, live poor and live live without the meat and scrap together and still expect them to do all the fucking work. It's so hard. And it's just not practical. I think a lot of black people, particularly black people, we're very practical in the realities of it. And so going back, so there's an article in The Root that was like, that was written in response to a Roxane Gay article, and the article is titled "Hillary's Not Your White Savior." And this article really pissed me off. And the reason why the article pissed me off because it goes down to the heart of my problem with a lot of black folks on the left or whatever. They're socialists or communists or left. I don't fucking know what they are. It's just the way they talk to the rest of us is like we're stupid and as if we're waiting for a white savior when in reality is most of it just trying to survive. So in the article, because the article that Roxane Gay wrote was for the New York Times, it says hate that doesn't hide. And it was talking about Charlottesville. So in one of the paragraphs, and it's a fairly decent sized article, and let me see if I can find out where she wrote the thing about Hillary. Because probably
I thought it was in the Times, maybe even. It was a pretty big outlet.
Yeah, it's a New York Times. Sorry, it's a New York Times.
I thought it was the Times. Yeah.
So near the beginning, she says this line. I keep thinking about how different things would it be if Hillary Clinton had been elected president. I was like so many others, wildly overconfident about her chances. Her presidency was a certainty in my mind and my heart, and then it wasn't. Instead, it is 2017, and white supremacists no longer feel the need to wear a hood to hide their racism and anti-Semitism. I'm a black woman, and I live in a country where the president doesn't disavow racism, right? Which I think is it's a valid point. You know, it's he's not saying that racism was going to go away under Hillary Clinton. She definitely has her issues. I think a lot of black people who voted for Hillary Clinton will even tell you it's like, no, we have issues with her. Like I remember I did not want to vote for Hillary Clinton. She was the choice we had.
Listen, if you recall, like most of it, we started that hashtag. Girl, I guess I'm with her. Mm-hmm. Like literally, it was a running joke of like we really were like, right. Okay. Right. I guess. Right. If it's between you and a neo-Nazi girl, I guess we with you. Like literally.
Right. It's like the choice
was the conversation.
The choice
and it was pretty fucking consistent.
Right. So the article's written by Crystal Marie Fleming, who has a PhD in The Root, and it says, this weekend I had the misfortune to read Roxane Gay's recent New York Times op-ed in which she reflects on Charlottesville and waxed poetic about how much she wishes Hillary Clinton had won, which isn't what that paragraph I just wrote. It doesn't say
said at all.
It doesn't say that. And this is another key thing. Like, I had the same experience this morning with a black socialist, which is not, where I was like, yo, I think Hillary Clinton would 100% been a better president than Donald Trump. And her whole thing was, I said 100%. Oh, so I'm like, I didn't say it's utopia. I didn't say we stop fighting. I just said that she'd 100% be a better president than Donald Trump. And that's just a fact. And that was the thing. And all of a sudden it came into, oh, you don't care about her racism. You don't care about what she did in Haiti. You don't care. I'm like, I didn't say any of that. You're putting all that on me. And I find this a lot with these people. It's like, you put all these extra words and all these extra caveats that aren't said. I read what Roxane Gay said. And then I just read you what this woman wrote in her article. And it's like, that's not what she said. It's not what she said at all. So then she continues, I can't believe people, especially black people, are still using this moment to push a tired, useless narrative about how much better things would have been if corporate Democrats remained in power. What a shame. Let me be the one to break news to you. Hillary Rodham Clinton is not and never has been our savior. Hillary would not have saved us. Again, where in anything that I read did somebody say that Hillary Clinton would have saved us? I see white people saying that shit all the time. I see a lot of us going, no, well, she told us that Trump was a terrible person. She told us that. But I never seen any black person going, she would have saved us. I don't see any of us treating her, I'm pretty sure there's some out there, but the majority of us aren't treating her as some white woman savior. Nobody does that. Well, it's understandable to understand, and while it is understandable to react during current racial crisis with horror, it is bizarre and ultimately unproductive to conclude that things would have been significantly better under Hillary Clinton's presidency. Hillary Clinton would have banned transgender people from, okay. Gay and others are on the left are perpetuating a neoliberal white savior myth. The delusion that that Clinton would have swooped in and saved us from white supremacists in our midst. No, we're not.
Who said that? None of that was said.
None of that was. This is why I get so fucking frustrated. None of that was said. None of that was said. It is obvious that the same woman who called black children super predators, the same woman who co-signed racist policies that decimated black families, and used the racist tropes to attack attack Barack Obama in 2008, which a lot of us called her out on and still put her accountable for, would not have ushered in some kind of racial utopia led us to a proverbial mountaintop. Again, where in this article or has any black person said that? Do you believe this?
Haven't seen it.
More importantly, the simple fact is that we don't have to guess what would have happened if Hillary had won. I can tell you exactly what would have happened because we have strong evidence from recent history. If Hillary had won, the vast majority of Democrats and Republicans would have continued to deny the fact that white supremacy still exists in the United States. If Hillary had won, the critical insights of Ferguson, Missouri youth, Black Lives Matter activists, and indigenous people standing up at Standing Rock would have continued to be sidelined. If Hillary had won, millions of liberals, especially the elite, would still be sleeping, tucked comfortably in their decisions of inclusion. The painful realities of white supremacy that are now being openly discussed and confronted would have been swept under the rug of respectable bipartisan denial. And that's the paragraph where I fucking lost it. Because here's the thing. Black Lives Matters, and again, not saying that Black Lives Matters was the beginning of activism for black people. It is not. It was not, but we understand that, hey, Black Lives Matter sprung up under Obama. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a movement for Black Lives. Like, a lot of the work that we're seeing, all this stuff sprung up under a Democratic president in Obama. Very critical of Obama, but guess what also happened? Some of these activists were able to meet with Obama. They maybe not the change we wanted. We got some changes from there. You had a Justice Department that didn't do everything we wanted, still investigated Ferguson. That some of those parts in the Justice Department are now gone.
Yep.
Like, I take the reason why this is the particular paragraph that pissed me off is this idea that somehow black people go to sleep under a Democrat.
Right.
Which the evidence shows us that we had 8 years of that not happening. If anything, there was an awakening of black activism even more than before under a Democratic president. Why? Because they're actually able to have not an ally per se, but you have somebody that will at least have an ear sometimes, right? There was at least somebody who's willing to hear you out. There were at least people that you can work with, and you might not like what they're doing all the time, but you can at least talk to them. You can have a conversation. There's no conversation being held with anybody right now. Like, am I wrong? Like, am I missing something here?
No, you're not. It's a really interesting thing. Like, I don't know what it is about. I'm trying to think of how to say this, like, because I actually know the person who wrote the article. I mean, personally, whatever. Because there's a thing where I feel like there's a holdover of people who felt like black folks were too excited about an Obama presidency, and in particular, black Americans that live abroad are the ones that I think have taken particular issue with this, like, Obama adulation, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, I was very critical of President Obama during his 2 terms, incredibly critical, pretty consistently throughout. I still voted for President Obama both times because I thought he was the best candidate on the tickets that were presented to the American people. And I also think that there's a distinction to be made between how black people feel about the cultural significance of President Obama's presidency and the political one. Right. They're not the same thing at all. And so I feel like a lot of these critiques like mesh them together, and they don't go into the nuance of, we can be excited about the fact, like, one of the things I said when President Obama won the first term, I was like, yo, there's gonna be bitches sleeping with bonnets in the White House. Like, that is like something that I was like, wow, that's just a cool thing to, like, think about and understand, that, like, there are people in power that, like, have experiences that are similar to mine. It's a sensation we've never had before, right? that doesn't negate the fact that it's still a fucking country and that our government is fucked up and that we do shitty things as an imperialist nation, right? Those things never will be separated. And it doesn't matter who's in office. Those things will always be true. So to make it about President Obama's presidency is really short-sighted. And it's, again, one of those things of like, let's hold the Black president to a different standard we've never held a president to before in our entire lives. I get the sentiment of like not wanting people to romanticize the Obama years, because there is, especially with this shit coming after it, it's definitely something that could happen. Right. But I haven't seen it happen, so there's no reason to like have these histrionic pieces that combat against something that's not even there. Like nobody is writing about the Obama years as some sort of like, you know, glorious time. We don't have to do that because of Black Lives Matter, because of the fact that we're calling on the carpet so much of the fuck shit stuff that happens. You know, I don't know if you've seen Whose Streets yet.
No, I haven't. The documentary
about Ferguson, which I hope everybody goes to see. If you can see it, really go see it, and encourage other people to do so. I've seen it several times.
Go see it before fucking Detroit.
One of the things that one of the things that the directors Sabah and Damon do really well in the movie is they intersplice President Obama's statements after a lot of the stuff that happened in Ferguson, and it paints a really, you know, damning picture of the administration in real time, right? When you look at it as a whole, you look at the long tail of what happened in Ferguson.
Yep.
And so for me, it's like nobody is out here talking about how either Hillary Clinton or President Obama were some sort of, you know, savior to Black people and we're going to help things. There's a conversation we're trying to have about how we often have to vote for the do less harm candidate, and then we fight that person still. Right. Because I know from my organizing circles and all the organizers that I know, like the reason why this year has been so hard for organizers is because they had spent a lot of time planning on how they were going to fight a Clinton administration. They had programs they were going to do. They had plans. They had campaigns, and all that shit had to get thrown out when this dude took office. And so now they're scrambling like, damn, we thought we were going to be able to be talking about nuanced things we were going to be able to move people on, things we were going to be able to actually like capitalize on momentum. And now we have to stop all of that and go into survival mode to just make sure that we don't get killed in the streets again. And so to me, that's where it's like, how do you even fix your face to like read Roxanne's piece, which was just a very stripped down, like, wow, I'm depressed because I thought the things I was going to be able to do were going to be one way because this was going to happen, and now it's not because this is what happened instead. It's very simple.
It drives me crazy because I think that like you, I'm trying to be careful with how I say this, because there's a lot of Black radicals I see out there that I'm like, yo, we agree on a lot of things. The one thing I don't agree with is the way you talk to other Black people as if we're like, they talk to us the same way white Bernie supporters talk to Black people. And that's the turnoff. It's like, listen, I hear everything you're saying. What I'm saying here is, yo, I'm Black and I'm just trying to fucking survive. So I didn't vote for a Democrat. I'm not a card-carrying member of the Democrats, and I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton because I thought that they were going to save us because I just need Massa to save me. I was like, listen, I have two fucking choices. I have three, actually. I have Donald Trump, I have Hillary Clinton, then I have the Green Party that nominated a fucking crazy person. Because Jill Stein is fucking crazy. Hey, you know what? Obviously. The Green Party might have been an option, but they nominated a crazy fucking woman. Jill Stein is fucking... I see this all the time. People are going, oh, well, you know, I voted for Green Party. I'm like, you do realize Jill Stein is crazy. Like, I think it was on the anniversary of Emmett Till's death. She tweeted out, remember Harambe, the fucking gorilla. All right? She had the Juneteenth event that had nothing but white people were there. All right? I'm sorry, and there's other things that are going on with Jill Stein. She's fucking crazy. I can't vote for crazy. I can't do that. So guess what? When I'm here, because here, like I've seen a lot of people talk about, what is it? The World's Worker Party. They had a candidate, right? They had a candidate, and look, I've been on their website. I've seen a lot of people that support the World Working Party. I think it's great. I even had some other people who yell at me, call me a coon, and say like, "Oh, I'm voting for them." I'm like, that's great. Here's the thing: I'm in Maryland. That party is not on the ticket. It's not on the ticket.
Right.
Now, and look, we have we should have the conversation about how ballot access is hard for some of these other parties. Definitely have that conversation. But here's the thing. In 2016, when November 9th came around, that party is not on the ticket. So that means I can pick the Green Party, which has a crazy person nominated, the neo-Nazi, or I can go with the Democratic Party, which, again, with all their fucking problems, when you look at their platform, they have a lot of things I can get behind. They have things there that are in writing that I can hold them accountable for. Hey, you say you have in your platform universal health care, I'm going to hold you to that. You say anti-Semitic racism, I can hold you to that, right? I can hold you to that because you wrote it down there. You might be blowing smoke on my ass, but you wrote it, I can hold it to you, right? You're supposed to be beholden to your fucking platform that's in there. That's my choices. How can you get mad at me for going with that? What am I supposed to do? Because here's the thing. If all of us voted for the Green Party, guess what? Green Party still doesn't win. Donald Trump apparently just wins by even more.
Yep.
So again, what are we supposed to do? Like, and this is the problem I have. Like, you let's have the discussion. Like, I don't usually disagree with any of these people when they say things. Oh, so you don't agree with universal healthcare? No, I agree with that. Like, I want to get that. Let's move towards that. How do we move towards that? Well, we just got to tell people they want. No. Like, we're now moving into, like, I think another problem is a lot of people haven't understood that there's a difference between activism and actually running a party that's going to govern. And I can tell you these things. It's the same problem I had with Bernie Sanders, right? We're going to fight for universal health care. Okay, Bernie, how? What is your actual plan to get that? Because here's the thing. You can say all you want that the polls show that people want this stuff. 60 million people voted for Donald Trump, and they clearly didn't want that. So,
yep.
So how do you get these things in part? Again, I'm using the word. Again, look. I am not trying to say this to down this group because again, you can go to their website and you can see. I'm always accused of not reading and not understanding. Go to the site and see they do a lot of good things out there. The World Worker Party. I was looking at one of the things they had in there, and one of the things they had in there was hey, we're gonna end end imperialism. We're gonna end the Department of Defense, and I'm like, that sounds great. That's awesome. You do realize how many people are employed by the Department of Defense. And you do realize how much of our economy is tied into that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't end that. I'm not saying we shouldn't move away from that. But what is the plan to help all the people that are going to be displaced and how to replace that? Because what's going to happen is if you just shut it off, if you pull a Trump, which is just pull the carpet out from underneath some things like this, that can have devastating effects on the people you're trying to help. So what is the actual plan here? And I'm not seeing that. And I'm like, right. Well, that's the thing that's going to get you caught up. We need that plan. I can make you a bunch of promises right now. But what happens? Because let's be honest here. That's what Trump did. Trump made a bunch of promises. And Trump said, I'm going to take all this stuff out. But here's the thing about a government. Taking away things is really easy. Putting them back into place and putting money behind it is actually really, really fucking hard. So Trump is having an easier time getting things accomplished. I've seen people say this. Well, see, why couldn't Obama just do what Trump's doing? Because Obama was actually trying to put money into places to help, and that's kind of going against what the system we have in place in America wants to do. But it's really, really easy.
It's also really short-sighted because obviously people were fighting the Obama administration the whole time he was in office.
Right.
Black people actively.
Right.
Like it wasn't like, oh, he was in office and everyone was like, cool, I'm gonna sit on my hands because we got this Negro in the office and now we don't have to worry about shit.
Right.
Like the opposite, the exact opposite is true.
Right.
The biggest civil rights movement in the last 50 years was created and came to a groundswell under that administration. And part of that was because we thought we could move the president. Exactly. That we could move an administration, that we had people that we could potentially position right? To make things look differently, to have conversations that were different. I don't know. The whole thing is just frustrating. And I just feel like a lot of people this is their brand, and that they're never going to say anything but that. And that's it.
I think it's that. But
that's what I think it is.
It's partly that. I'm not going to lie that I think there are some people like that, but I think it's I think it's more naivete than anything else. I think it's people that honestly, because I saw an article from I saw somebody say something, and they were, again, responding to the person who called me a coon, about how, they were talking about how, in the last 2015, I realized that this is why liberals are wrong, stuff like that. In 2015, I realized that, people didn't care about the drone strikes that Obama did. And I'm like, so what you're telling me when you say 2015 is, are you telling me you just realized that was happening in 2015? Did your political awareness just happen in the last 2 years? So then it hit me. I was like, oh my God, Obama might be the political awakening for some people. And in that case, I totally understand why you can think the way you think. But if you don't see that, I get this all the time when I say this. I tell people all the time, without hesitation, Barack Obama was the best president we've ever had in the United States. Mm-hmm. Hands down. And people go, oh, so you just think he's better? And you just think I'm like, no, I don't think that it excuses him from drone strikes. I don't think it excuses him from he deported more people than just George W. Bush. It doesn't excuse the bad things that had happened under Obama, right? I will say I think some people, and this is how I know some people get this idea that, and they've only become aware of things under Obama, is when they say that police brutality went up under Obama, and I'm like, I think we just became more aware of it because of social media. This stuff has always been happening. So, and if you think that it just, like, Obama was going to change that in these 8 years, something that's been happening since slave times, then I think you really don't have the historical understanding of what's been happening in this country. But anyway.
And also the context of, like, taking the office of the president of the United States. Like, you're still the president of these here United States.
Yeah.
We're an imperialistic, warmongering pieces of shit.
Yeah.
There's
ifs, ands, or
buts about it.
That is the history of this country.
It's multiple things that come into play. It's like, our international policy has always been fuck shit.
Yeah.
You can go back to World War II. You could go back to World War I. We get involved in shit when it affects us only to the extent that we can capitalize on it.
Yeah, what can we get out of it?
That's it. There is no other context with which the United States gets involved in anything internationally unless both of those two things are in place. So, and that's not an Obama thing, right? That's nothing to do with who is in office.
That's our DNA. Like, so I had this morning I was talking about somebody, and they were like, oh, well, the Dems are just, because we were talking about how Dems have closed primaries. And I'm like, I think it's a stupid argument to have. It's like, if you want to vote for a Democratic primary, fucking sign up. Like, it's that fucking simple. Be a Democrat. Like, it's not fucking hard. Doesn't, if we want to have a conversation about maybe registration is an undue hardship on certain communities, we can have the conversation, but it's never in that discussion, right? So if having this conversation, this lady comes up to me, it's like, I just think that Democrats have moved so far to the right that what we think is progressive from them is really just right-wing centrist policies. I'm like what? Because honestly, the Democrats, like, Hillary Clinton ran to the left of Obama. She did. Like, I don't like Hillary, didn't donate to her campaign, but she definitely ran to the left of Obama on a lot of these issues. So the thing that always comes up is foreign policy. Then that's the only thing people can go when they say that we've moved so far to the right. So I was like, well, how? Drone strikes are always the thing that comes up, and I'm like, listen, drone strikes are bad, but you do realize the president before him launched two fucking wars. And what we have to understand is, like, foreign policy is never as easy as everybody makes it in the United States. Our foreign policy is a goddamn mess. If you watch The Flash, I'm going to get really nerdy here. I use this Flash example all the time for this. I look at it like in the last season, Barry Allen kept going back. They had the Flashpoint episode, and Jay Garrett pulled him out of the time stream one time. It was like, yo, motherfucker, stop messing with the time. You can't go back and fix the issue every time you fuck it up in a timeline. Barry's like, why not? So Jay broke a porcelain glass and then put it back together. It was like, see, you can put it back together, but you see, you still got the cracks there, and sometimes you're missing a piece. That's why. That's what happens every time you go back there. That's U.S. foreign policy. I need people to understand that the die has been cast. It's already fucked up. Like, there's nothing we can do. Like, the foreign policy is one of the things that when it comes up, it's actually one of my least concerns when it comes to some of these things, because it's like I don't know what to do. Like the one thing we didn't mention for Trump did this week, he did it earlier this week, was the Afghanistan policy. I'm just like, well, honestly, I have no opinion on it because we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. You pull out, you're gonna create a mess because you already created a mess. You stay there, you're gonna create a mess too. Like we're fucked. Like as Reverend Wright said, chicken's gonna come home to roost at some point. You pull out. That's how we got that's how we got in the mess to begin with. Like we went into there when we shouldn't have back in the 70s. We pulled out, created a mess there. Then we were back there a few years later. It's a mess. Nothing you can do. I remember Syria. Everybody's talking about Syria and Obama's strikes in Syria and things like that. Here's the thing though, because this is on all of us. I remember when Assad gassed his own people, and I remember a lot of people, left and right, were criticizing Obama for not doing anything. And the question was always, well, what do you want him to do? Because you don't want him to go in. You don't want him to do strikes. You don't want him to do nothing, though. It's a mess. There's no good answer here. And that's because of, historically, what we have done as a nation. That I don't know what... I'm not smart enough to understand what the answer is for this one. I don't know. You know, if, like... You can sit there and say, we pull out all of our bases from foreign countries, bring everybody home, forgetting the domestic issue that calls with us, because then you got to find jobs and places for those people to go. You make it seem like when we pull out and we leave, the countries that we leave from are going to forget the wars that we did. Like, they're not. They're not going to forget that we fucked them over. That's not what's going to happen. That's going to come back to bite us in the ass, too. It's like, the only way to fix this is if we go back in time and tell somebody, hey, listen, stop doing that. Just from the jump. Don't go in there from 100 years from don't do this. You're gonna fuck us over for the next 100 years. It's just a fucking mess. And, like, there's no nuanced discussion about, yeah, man, there's just no good answer here. It's, oh, no, I know what it is. We should just do this. And I'm like, no, but that doesn't absolve us from the horrors that we've done. There's no, you know, I remember when Obama first got elected, he did the as Republicans call it, the apology tour.
Yes.
I mean, you have part of the country that was mad at him for that. For saying, hey, yeah, man, the United States, man, we've fucked a lot of you guys over before. Just saying that was too much for half of the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, look, man, I'm just trying to live. I don't, like, look, Hillary Clinton has some bad things here, but better than Trump, right? Like, that's something that I can agree on and I can tangibly vote on. It doesn't mean I got to stop fighting. Doesn't mean I got to stop working on. I wouldn't even say it's status quo. It's like, it's still progressing forward. It's somebody you can hold for and hold accountable for and move. And here's the thing. We saw that movement work with her. So, like, I just, it's just very fucking frustrating. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know what goes forward. Because, so the other thing I got here is this article that came out about, it's focused on Democrats, but I think this, again, is everybody to the left, you know, if you're a Democrat or to the left of Democrats on this one. And it's about how in 2018, the gerrymandering problem is going to be really hard for them to get over. Like the models are something like 54% of the Democrats will get 54% of the votes, but that won't be enough for them to take a majority because they'll only get 47% of the seats. But it's not going to work. And I'm like, if that's what Democrats are facing, it's going to be even worse for even more radical and to the left parties. So how do you combat that? Like, yes, we need to do these things in the community. We need to have the activism there. But what is the actual plan for governing and changing the actual government to do what we need to do? Because if we don't win those seats to even get somebody that looks a little bit to the right of a little bit to the left of Republicans, how does any of that change? Because we're seeing what they're doing. They're putting laws in place to basically, if you want to be honest, outlaw activism.
Yep.
and outlaw you being able to do what you're doing. So,
Mm-hmm.
because remember, before Charlottesville happened, there were Republican states and Republican senates and that were putting laws in place to make it okay to hit protesters with your car. Then a white woman dies, and now all of a sudden they're rethinking it. But before then, when it was just hitting black people or indigenous people with your car, it was okay, and that was going into law.
Beyond the law part of it, we can talk about a white woman that plowed through protesters in Ferguson when there was direct action on one of the highways there, and Brittany, who led that, she like banged on the car as the car was going through, like
that was on video, wasn't it?
Hey.
I think it was on video, wasn't it?
Absolutely, it's on video. It's in Whose Streets. It's on video.
Yeah.
But Brittany was charged with a felony for hitting this woman's car. Because the woman feared for her life, and Brittany was the leader of these people, and she thought they were going to drag her from her car and beat her. This is what the police report said. So I just want to be clear about like how nefarious, like when we talk about people putting their lives on the line to do direct action. This is what I mean. It's not just about like, oh, somebody's going to come and do something to you. It's how the system will grab you. It's how Josh is in jail right now. The only person connected to Ferguson and Darren Wilson and the murder of Mike Brown is a 19-year-old black man who's in jail right now. Yep. For protesting. So for me, it's like that's why when people try and be like, oh, Hillary Clinton, like I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. I really don't. And the fact, like, it's almost a catch-22. Like, okay, you wrote an article about how you hate people being so obsessed with Hillary Clinton. Like, nigga, you obsessed with Hillary Clinton too.
To write the article.
You are writing a whole other article about this shit. So who's obsessed and who isn't? Please tell me, because I'm trying to figure this shit out.
And like you said, it's like all those things you just mentioned happened under Obama, and you guys are fighting for that. So it's like this idea that black people we're gonna help elect Hillary Clinton, and then just sit on our asses and go, well, our job here is done. We got Massa in the office. That wasn't gonna happen because it wasn't happening under Obama. I don't understand these things. And again, it got worse under Trump. Here is. The Phoenix New Times went over some of the things. I'm not going to go into these articles, but I'm going to read just the headlines of them. The things that Joe Arpaio has done over the last 20 years. All right. And this is through Democrat, Republican president. Like, this is what people have been fighting against. He ran a jail that he describes as a concentration camp. Prisoners there died at an alarming rate. Let me see if I can find out what the actual rate was for these. He was. I'll close this. I hate pop-ups. Getting pop-up ads on the phone. This is ridiculous. Anyway, God, close it. There you go. All right. Let me see. Trying to see if they actually.
My theory is, why all these companies went to do unlimited data is because of pop-up ads.
You're right.
the ad companies were like, nah, just give everybody all the data. That way we could push these bullshit ass videos to them constantly.
Yeah, there were apparently during the reign of Sheriff Joe Arpaio, research requested provided from the coroner's office showed 157 deaths. The suicide rate, from 1996 to 2015, the suicide rate among jail deaths in Sheriff Joe Arpaio's lockup was at an astounding 24%, with 39 of the 157 hanging themselves. For comparison, in Los Angeles is 11%, New York is 9%, Cook County, Chicago 6%, Philadelphia 14%, Harris County 13%, Dade County 6%. Those numbers are still high, but in Sheriff Joe's it's 24%, which I think was almost 24% higher. Was almost 2 times higher than any other anyone there. Furthermore, of the 157 deaths listed on the Sheriff's Watch on NAMI's chart, 34 suddenly were tagged as having been found dead with no explanation as to the cause of the death. More mysteriously, another 39 died in the county hospital without explanation. That's 73 deaths, nearly half of all deaths, that the county authorities listed as who knows. So that's one of the things there.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? One of his jailers nearly broke the neck of a paraplegic guy who had the temerity to ask for a catheter. One time, as a public stunt, he marched Latino prisoners into a segregated area with electric fencing. AirPod, I think this is the one where a woman gave a birth to her baby, and he shackled her while she was giving birth. He ran an ongoing mugshot of the day contest on the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office website. He arrested New York Times reporters for covering him, won a $3.75 million settlement for that one. Oh, we won. So, yeah, the New York Times won that one. Under him, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office failed to investigate hundreds of sex abuse cases, many of them involving children. And again, remember, the reason why he was actually found guilty of basically violating the civil rights of people. He had instructed the sheriff to go into majority Latinx communities and raid them, and basically violate civil rights.
Wow.
And the judges were like, "You can't fucking do that." He was found guilty, and Trump pardoned him. Pardoned him. Basically saying, you're doing a heck of a job there. Keep it up. That's what's going on there.
More of that, please.
More of that. So, yeah, I just, this is one of those things that, like I said, I see some people, we're at 2017 right now. We're going to get at least, Trump's not resigning anytime soon. And again, I say people all the time, if he resigns, you still have Mike Pence there, who would actually be worse because he would actually work with Republicans to get the things they're going. Because remember, in some ways, Trump's incompetence has kind of been saving us. Trump's incompetence is why the healthcare bill failed. If the healthcare bill did not fail, that's 24 million people without health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, his incompetence is up. If that had been Pence, though, that happens. The Republicans have shown that they just give a shit about using Trump to get what they can when they can, and that's it. Even their idea of he's gone too far is just he hasn't gone far enough to help us get our thing out there. So, but it's 2017. 2018 is midterms. Again, probably not going to do anything. 2020 is the next presidential election. I'm going to go and say 2024. All right? 2024. I see a lot of people saying we need to get rid of the two-party system. I'm seeing a lot of this. I'm going to be honest. Most people that I see that, I don't really fucking believe. I don't believe you because I've seen some people say that, and then their thing is, oh, well, Democrats need to get rid of closed primaries. I'm like, but making closed primaries open primaries doesn't get rid of the two-party system because you're still voting for a Democratic Party nominee. That's still a two-party system.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to see is, well, if you're really about that, if, let's say, Bernie Sanders, who's not a Democrat, who's an independent, why don't you use your resources, your followers, join up with one of these other parties, combine, and work to build up? And again, I've seen some of these other organizations. They've been running some races. I don't have all the things there, but they've been running city council, maybe a mayor here or there. Like, we're getting some small things there, but none of them get to the part of we're getting like a House of Representative member, one like a senator. Like, those are that should, I guess, kind of be the end goal for some of these things to kind of break that two-party hold on that. So with all this talk about doing that, why is it I only hear about that every 4 years when it's time to vote for president? I kind of feel like that's too fucking late. Like, are you supporting, the third parties in your state? Because it's like, if you're about this, but you're only talking about Bernie, then you're not, because he's with Democrats. Why don't you push him to kind of use these next few years to build up a third party to combat these. If you don't like Democrats, you don't like Republicans, fine. What's the other option? What is the option to govern?
But that's hard though, Chris. Come on.
And
it's easy to write think pieces about how stupid people are for talking about Hillary Clinton, keeping in mind that in doing so, you yourself are talking about Hillary Clinton. But it's a lot harder to actually put something together and be like, okay, this is how we're going to build together. This is how we think it's going to be a useful way to move forward and to create a different political climate in which to build something separate. I just
like, and that's my thing. It's like every time I bring this up, people think, "Oh, you're just corporate Democrat." You just want, like, no, look, give me another option that's viable. We'll have a conversation. I never see that though. I see a lot of promises of things that, well, you're not serious. You're saying the things that kind of give cover for people, so I can vote for this and not feel guilty because I voted my conscience. But it's like at some point, where does the practical ideas come in? When do you address the idea that, hey, listen, people are gonna die, so what are we gonna do to actually win? Because you gotta win but the end goal has to be to win. The end goal has to be at some point be to take over the government so you can get some of these policies in place. So how do we do that? And I never see this just, oh well, we just gotta do that. I remember when talking about third party, it was like people were like, there are other parties out there, you gotta do your research. I'm like, well, technically when it comes to actually running a political party and voting for it, actually no, I don't. Like, you as a political party, what are you doing to get yourself out there so that I know about you? That is a part of being here's the thing. I think so many people, you don't want to be a politician, but you have to be. Like that was a problem with Bernie Sanders at the beginning of his run, right? His idea of, oh, Bernie's not a politician. I'm like, no, he's a politician. Oh, no, he's not a politician. They started doing politician things, and people were like, well, he has to, yeah, I know. Because that's the thing. The nobody likes a politician. Be honest. Like we like Obama in general, but listen, at the end of the day, it's a politician. He's gonna say some fucked up shit. Like I was watching. I'm always listening to Laugh podcast on the left, and they were talking about sociopaths, right? And they always say that, hey, a lot of sociopaths they don't go out to be serial killers. They become politicians. That's why you don't like politicians. It's like not everybody's cut out to be a politician.
Nope.
Like, and I think that sometimes we need to have that real conversation. It's like, you're not gonna like your politician that you vote for because being a politician means doing some things that are not going to please everybody then. And that's no matter what you do. Like, I don't care. Like, we always use these examples of other countries and, oh, why don't we do like them? It's like, I can guarantee if you go to the streets in those countries, you'll find somebody who goes, oh, no, fuck that guy. Fuck that politician. He does some good things, but no. And on the, like, it's just, that's the reality of politics. So why most of us don't like it. Most of us are very skeptical of it. Why most of us don't become politicians. It takes a special, person to actually want to be and not just be a politician to make a point, but to actually be a politician and actually win and actually make do on what I'm saying. That's a harder task that most of us are not up to and don't want to do. And I think so many of us are trying to get into the idea of, well, I just want to vote to make myself feel better, or I want to support something to make me feel better, not on some, how does this actually help in the long run or even the short term for now? Like, what are we going to, like, we don't have those nuanced discussions. And I don't know. It's just one of the things that I think more and more people need to have a better understanding of politics. Like, a lot of people have an understanding of the historical nature, right?
And furthermore, like, my whole thing is, you don't think it would have been easier to advance a more progressive agenda under Hillary Clinton? I not saying with Hillary Clinton. I'm talking about, like, if you really want to topple the Democratic Party, you don't think it would have been easier to do? Being able to point out all of their flaws while they were doing it? Because right now you sound crazy.
Well, you know what it is? I had this written down here. Like, I think the thing that a lot of people, and I think it was kind of in this article I wrote, and I just don't agree with the premise. It was the same premise that you get from that article that you got from, like, Susan Sarandon, your favorite boy, Talcum X,
Fuck
Sean
Talcum
King.
X.
But it's this idea that somehow now that the hoods are off, that white supremacy is out there, and we're having these conversations, that now we can finally have a conversation. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
Yeah.
I completely disagree, because I'm like, if you actually look at the conversation we're having conversations about the lowest bar. Like,
Yep.
it's like when like, yeah, we get like small little victories, like, hey, Confederate monuments are toppling. Hey, that's good. And people are taking that as an idea of that we're finally having a conversation about white supremacy. Like, no, what you're seeing is the quick reaction to white people going, let's take this shit down now so we don't have to have the conversation. And you notice that because when you see the things like, sure, topple the Confederate monuments, but whoa, let's not go too far with George Washington. Like, that's where I'm like, see, you're not actually dealing with the root of the issue. You're dealing with the low-hanging fruit. You're dealing with the KKK, the alt-right, the neo-Nazis, the ones that took the sheets off and are out there. You're not dealing with the people that, you know, have employed these people and have known, like, oh yeah, I fired him, or we don't support that. You've known this guy has been like this for the longest time. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't something he kept to himself. Because you know the thing I know about neo-Nazis? There's never a secret neo-Nazi. There's never is. Like, anybody who's a neo-Nazi, they're never secret about it. They're always out there. So, like, you're not dealing with everyday white supremacy. You're dealing with the most vocal, the most obvious one. The easy one for white people to address. Yeah, white people can all agree that what happened in Charlottesville was wrong. For the most part, right? They can all say, we can all come together and stuff like that. It's like we were talking about last episode. Yeah, you can go to, when neo-Nazis say they're going to show up at Boston, you can get a march to go against them. You can get white people to say, yeah, we did that. But here's the thing. Boston is still racist as fuck. And what you're just saying to me is neo-Nazis with the line that Boston had. Boston is still racist as all get out. So that's not having the conversation you want to have. Now, if you had Hillary Clinton there, the neo-Nazis would still be around and we still deal with them. But now you're having a conversation about how, hey, you know what? You ever going to have that conversation about what you did and how you supported the prison system and how what you did in Haiti? We now have those conversations. The conversations that everybody wants to go, well, what about when Hillary? We can now have those conversations if Hillary's president. We can now have her deal with them and call her out on them at that point. At this point, now, when I go, man, fuck, man, I really wish we didn't have Trump. And you go, what about Haiti? Everybody goes, yeah, actually, right at this point, I can't really think about that right now. At this point, I'm just trying not to fucking die.
Yep.
You know, it's like this revolution that you're expecting to happen isn't gonna fucking happen. No. That's not how this works. And I don't know.
You need people who are actually able to breathe in their life in order to build a sustainable resistance.
Right.
This is why you see Donald Trump acting so quickly and the administration acting so quickly, because the more they can hamper people, the more they can take away the things that allow them to breathe and eat and sleep and feed their children and all of those things. They know that will cripple any sort of resistance whatsoever. It's deliberate. And so for you to say that, like, to not admit that it would be easier for people to build a resistance to Hillary Clinton than it is under a Donald Trump presidency, it's asinine. It just really is asinine. It doesn't make any sense at all. And I don't give, like, my thing is this, like, if you don't want to vote for whoever, don't vote for it. Don't vote at all. I don't care. I really don't. I'm not one of these people that, like, thinks everybody needs to vote or that it's some sort of badge of, like, requirement for people. I really don't have that understanding. However, we are now 8 months into this administration taking office, and for anybody, I don't care who you are, anybody who is not in alignment with the administration's policies, to not understand fundamentally that building a resistance to this is way harder than building a resistance to what it would have been under a HRC presidency, you're just lying. You're just lying. You're lying.
It doesn't make it. I mean, it's harder for people to, like, you're gonna have your people out here struggling just to survive. Like, it's And they were gonna, don't get me wrong, there were gonna be people that struggled to survive under Hillary Clinton as well. But it's like when you actually actively have, like you're gonna have, if Trump does what he's gonna do with Dreamers, there's gonna be a generation of activism gone. You know, kicked out, like gone. Like you're I don't know how to make people understand this. That it's like, yeah, it's just an overly frustrating thing, and it just seems so short-sighted that I can't say that. That like, listen, it's harder for people to get out there and move. The other thing too is you got to understand what we said before, and this is the last thing before we move on to great moments of white privilege. The way Trump is doing this and putting this stuff out there is also to keep people from being able to react. It's a thing where if you launch an attack on so many different things, where do you focus?
Right.
Where do you mobilize? You know, last week a couple weeks ago it was nuclear armament, right? Nuclear war with North Korea. Week after that, it was white supremacists marching and the president going, oh well, you know, there were some good people there. This week is transgender people being banned. Like every week there's something new. Like this right now, and so you take that and then also limit the funds and the means for people, making it harder for people to survive. How do you put resources in the area and to go into these areas? How do you do that? Sure, you can mobilize. I'm not saying that you're totally crippled and you can mobilize some things here, but the sheer volume of information is overwhelming. It's hard to focus. And then you get burnout from just regular people that can support you, or you got regular people like me just going, fuck, I need a day off. I can't. It's too much. I can't process this stuff. It's insane to me. Like, and I wish more people had that conversation. Like, especially when it comes to people of color and black people in general. Because white people are still again. We've had you guys have some work to do. With black people, no matter where if you're a Democrat or to the left, we're all on the fucking same side. I have yet to see a black person who's a Democrat deny wanting anything that some of the black socialists want. I've yet to see him go, oh wait, you're fighting for universal health care? Oh, fuck that shit. You know, you're fighting for $15 more or more minimum wage. Oh no, fuck that shit. Like, I've yet to see the majority of people who voted for, most of them are gonna say, no, I agree with that shit. So in this case, we are all on the same side. We all kind of want the same thing. Like, shitting on us because we decided to be practical on one thing is not gonna help the situation. And making it seem like you have such a higher understanding when honestly you're just misconstruing our words is fucking annoying as shit. You know? So, all right, let's move on to great moments of white privilege. So I had several opportunities for a great moment of white privilege today. Because it's just like everything was a great moment of white privilege this week. Actually, it was going to be the Daniel Radcliffe one, but then I realized I was like, well, no, that's actually a good lead-in from a good segment from Safety Pin Box. So I'll talk about it then. So this one I have another one. This is Christian pastor. There would be no white supremacists if it weren't for Obama. So, yeah,
I tell you, anyone who has tried to condemn Trump for what they said was not being forceful enough, not being timely enough in condemning the white supremacists, anyone who has done that and who has not condemned Black Lives Matter as a hate group, as an extremist group, as an outlaw group, they are hypocrites of the worst order. And they are the ones, I believe, as responsible as any hate groups. As a matter of fact, far more so for the divisions rising in America than the white supremacist groups. Why do I say that? Because the white supremacist group probably wouldn't exist now if it had not been for Obama. They were just about fading out. We had just about dealt with racism in America. And one of the things I thought too, I thought with Obama being elected, I didn't like his policies. I didn't like anything he was running on. But I said, I am so proud to be a part of a nation that would elect someone from a minority like that as their president. And I thought one thing I thought he would do was heal, help continue the healing of the racial divisions in America. Didn't happen, went the other direction, threw fuel on the fire of racism in our country, continue to this day from the left mostly.
I have to be honest here. So something that happens with the show sometimes is I find an article, I read the article, and there's a video attached to it, but I don't watch the video until and actually listen to the words until the show. That was way worse than I actually thought. Like when I read the words, it was one thing, but then when I actually watch him say these things and talk about it, I'm like,
the privilege, like the layers of privilege there are so like there's so many of them, but the one that really like I want to hone in on is this notion of President Obama as a racial healer. So your supposition was that a black man was going to heal the nation from 400 plus years of racial atrocities against black people. White people have this strange notion about healing that really requires just black people getting over shit.
Oh yeah.
That's it. That's their whole like concept of what will fix everything is black people just like, it's cool now. We've gotten over it, guys.
Racism's over. Well, again, it go, and I think this is where I we were talking about why some black people on the left feel the way they do about trying to talk about black people who celebrate Obama for the culture and things like that. I think part of that comes into some of the naivete. Some of it might be branding, but I think some of it also comes from the fact that they confuse us with white people who voted for Obama. Because remember, when Obama got elected, there were a lot of white people who were like, post-racial America, and every black person was like, what? Why you guys think that? Because you guys elected a black guy? Oh, no. You want to see how racist this country really is. Like, that's how I was. I was like, oh, man, I can't believe we did this. I can't believe y'all did this. Y'all just elected a nigga. Like, it's about to go down. Like, it's about to be so racist. Like, and that's what happened. And so, a couple things that stand out to me, this idea that using no evidence whatsoever that the white supremacist group were on the way out, which if you actually listen to the FBI and any other group out there that study this, they tell you the exact opposite, that these groups are already on the rise anyway. But then it's this idea that, you always hear this about, Democrats have a problem because they got to find out how to get all those voters who voted for Obama but then voted for Trump. And I'm like, well, you do realize that those people were racist. Like they voted for him in 2008 because a lot of them didn't vote for him in 2012. That's the other thing they kind of forget. They voted for him in 2008 because they thought that would make them not racist, and that somehow Obama's going to be a magical Negro, and that didn't happen either. Even though, again, it's America, he's working inside the American system. In a way, not even in a way, like he still has to adhere to the white supremacist structure of our government, right? So they didn't really even lose anything, but I don't know what they thought he was going to be able to do. But in 2012, a lot of them were fed up with him and didn't vote for him in 2012. So it's like, guys, that's what this is. Like, you're basing this off of not facts. Obama was never going to heal the divide because, like, you guys thought him talking about you. I remember the first time it was when he said the Cambridge police acted stupidly.
Yep.
It was like I think that was this is where I think started really informing a lot of Obama's responses after that. Because the one time he was just real, was like, well, I think the Cambridge police acted stupidly. It's like, there's a man going into his own house. You don't arrest that guy. Like, it's like, come on, guys. And he got reamed for it. Like, so many people forget the Gates incident in Cambridge. Some people
They
forget.
forget it, and they also forget, like, what did he have to do? He had to have some fucking bullshit
a
ass like
beer summit.
Kumbaya moment with some beer.
A beer summit.
Literally.
With
as a response to these people.
Right. Like, because and this was on MSNBC. Seeing everybody's going, well, the president said that the police. I can't believe he said that. And like literally, everybody else is going, well, they did. They arrested a man who was breaking in to his own home. We were like, it's a Dave Chappelle skit. Dave Chappelle had a skit about it, and like that's when it was, and people were like, oh, well, I don't know. Then the second one was, if I had a son, he would like Trayvon.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time, like, you know, we always get on Obama for, again, some of his middling statements and some of those, dude, come on, like, really, that's what you're going to go with here? But we forget that also what the response from the country was outside of black people anytime he gave a real answer. Anytime he gave a from the heart black person answer, this country lost his goddamn mind. What do you mean if you had a son he looked like Trayvon? Meaning he'd be a dark-skinned little boy who would get followed around by a fucking sociopath and shot to death. That's what he meant by that. Duh. Oh, so you're making it a race thing? It's a race fucking thing. But that's what these are.
What are you talking about right now?
These are a bunch of people who didn't see that. They didn't want to admit that you know, hey, you know, they just thought that we got a black president. It's over and done with. Racism's gone, and we're just like, no. If anything, you're gonna see even more of it because you're gonna see how he has to deal with this shit and navigate this shit. And we've never had that conversation, and that's why we were able to bring so much of it to the forefront, right? Under Trump, nope. That's not the conversation anymore. Now the conversation is, well, not every Trump voter is a racist, and not every Trump voter does this, and because there are a lot of people like this fucking asshole who think, what is this fucking name? I gotta say what his fucking name is because I didn't say in the article. It is Rick Joyner, right-wing Christian pastor, who, by the way, after all the resignations from all these other panels and the manufacturing panel and things like that, you know who's sticking with him 100%? The evangelical panel. Ain't that interesting? The 88% of evangelicals that voted for Donald Trump and his little evangelical faith panel are sticking beside Donald Trump, saying that, hey, you know, this guy here. So. Anyway, let's move on. Black woman shout out time. Again, emails at bwbusiness@mtrnetwork.net if you're a black woman and you want to get a shout out for your business. This one, it was from Koki from our Molecules and Shit podcast, which, by the way, we're going to get a couple episodes of Molecules and Shit up next month on the free feed so you can see what they're doing there. I got 2 more episodes from them to put out as well, which will hopefully also come out beginning of next week or into next week there. This is a black woman. I think she's they call her Dr. Z's is Azaza Bakush. I think that's how you say her first name. I might be messing that up. I'm terrible with names. She's a PhD level theoretical physicist, one of the very few black women, let alone blind black women. She's blind. Theoretical physicists out there. She's currently raising funds for a next documentary called Seeking Vision, and it will be a guest on Molecules and Shit soon. That's great. Following our habit of having scientists of color with interesting careers join us. She's a friend of a friend, and I'd love to get her on our story more widely heard. So let's go to the GoFundMe to see what Seeking Vision film is. Hold on. Come on. Let me get this up here. I also have some videos I'll put in for her. They have some of her. I think there's a couple of TED Talks there. Yeah, so she's $810 for a $25,000. Hold on, let me see if I can actually play. She has a video on her on her GoFundMe. So let me see if I can actually put this one up. While I'm doing this, do you have anybody you want to do for your Black Woman shout out?
I do have somebody. They're a pretty big person, but I did want to give them a shout out. Who is Kimberly Bryant, who founded Black Girls Code. She's the founder of Black Girls Code. She also runs it. She this week turned down $125,000 in funding from Uber. And I want to give her a shout out because I'm going to read her actual words about why she did it. She said, "My decision is layered. I've been quite open for some time about the fact that we as an org use Uber as a tool. We're also headquartered in the city, Oakland, where they have planned to move. So I've been open to the notion that they can transform themselves. Yet the past history and political nature of maneuvering is and was troubling. She thought that their donation seemed a bit tone deaf to really addressing real change and how they are moving towards both inclusion and equity. It appears to be more PR driven than actually focused on real change. So we turned it down."
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to give her a shout out because I mean, Kimberly Bryant's amazing and Black Girls Code is an amazing organization and all of that stuff. But there is this thing, something that Marissa and I have had lots of meetings over the last 8 months with various different orgs and people and stuff like that, where we've looked them dead in their face and be like, why the fuck do we want to do anything with you? You're trash. And it's really something that Black founders don't have the opportunity to do because there's so little support for the work that Black entrepreneurs, Black business people, Black organization founders, like we don't get seed money. We don't have $1 million of friends and family that can just come up with dough. Like we don't have those things.
You mean you're not like Trump? You don't get you can't get like your dad to give you a small $1 million loan or something like that. You can't.
Nah, we ain't got any of those things. And so we're left to have to compromise ourselves so often when it comes to funding to get our amazing ideas off the ground. So I just wanted to give her a shout out because I just think it's such a a level of integrity that few of us are afforded, and it's not a judgment. I understand exactly why we have to make those compromises. It's very real, but I think it's such a great, signal to see somebody like her take such a specific stand, because she's able to, because Black Girls Code has achieved so much since its foundation, and I just wanted to give her a shout out.
No, that's awesome.
That's
Thank
my
you.
shout out for this week.
So here's the crowdfunding GoFundMe video. So let me see if I can play this right now.
My name is Zora Aziza Bukush. I'm also known as Dr. Z. I'm a physicist by training, and I'm also a documentary filmmaker who produces films about science. I'm currently producing a documentary film called Seeking Vision, in part a narrative story about my life, but it's also a film that kind of paints a larger picture about the issues that blind people, not only here in the United States, but also all around the world, are facing in terms of struggling for mainstream inclusion in society. Through this film, I'm looking to inspire people, to help people realize that it really doesn't take sight to have vision. Currently 70%, that's 70% of working age blind people in the United States are unemployed. And so as blind people here in the United States, we continue to struggle for mainstream inclusion in society, in part because we deal much with the public's perception and attitudes about blindness and what people who are blind are capable of achieving and doing.
So there you go. Like I said, I'll put the link in for the GoFundMe. Like I said, they just put this up like a month ago, so definitely you can share some. I'm gonna start once we get our Patreon up. I'm gonna start trying. If we can get enough patrons, I think one of the goals is gonna be if I can get enough patrons to get into the between the GoFundMe and the MTR Premium, I'll be able to set some money aside to start putting towards, because we get a lot of these. We get a lot of GoFundMes. We get a lot of campaigns that we see that we would like to support. And I think that as a network, we can be able to, if we start getting enough people that support us, we can start putting some of that money to the side we get every month to supporting some of these things. So, definitely go out and find this. And I hope that Cokie and P-Funk can get her on for molecules and shit. And if they do that, I'll try to make sure that molecules and shit goes onto the free feed so everybody can hear from that. So I think that's about it here for this show. Leslie, I just got to say thank you very much for joining me. It's always a pleasure having you on this show, and it's great to have you on. Just thank you so much.
You know, I'm always ready to come on and talk with you. We didn't get, think you only got high pitched like once or twice. We did pretty good this show. I'm always here to come. I know Marissa would love to come on anytime you want to have her on. She would have a whole different host of shit to talk to you about. You know, she's very knowledgeable and informed and involved with the Black socialist movement. So I think that would be really interesting for y'all to get into some of that stuff. But I love you. Thank you so much for all of your support from day one for Safety Pin Box. I can't tell you how much it meant to us to have you supporting us and to really put yourself out there, because I know that the blowback didn't just come to us, though we got the brunt of it. It spilled over to you, and people were really trash. You know, once some checks started rolling out, a lot of people shut the fuck up, but people are assholes. So
yeah, it was one of the things. It's one of those things too. I was like, listen, knowing that you guys were getting the brunt of a lot of this stuff, like, and I like playing around with trolls anyway. So if I can get some people to kind of take some pressure off of you to yell at me instead, I'll do that, because I always like messing with these fucking idiots anyway. But it was just so shocking to me to see how much. And I said I think every time I've had you on since, I always end with this going, it's always so shocking to see how racist people got because of this. You know,
so racist.
And it's like, I shouldn't be shocked, but goddamn it, I was still shocked. I was like, God damn, you racist.
It wasn't so true, and it was so funny. Something Marissa says all the time is like, you will never hear anybody tell a white business owner or entrepreneur, like, question why their business should exist. That's a question that a white business owner will never be asked. Yet, I have yet to do an interview where that question hasn't been asked of me.
Yeah. So why does your business exist? Have you seen outside?
Like, what are you talking about right now?
Have you seen who's in the White House?
Did you know there were Nazis not marching in the streets last week?
What,
I just want to understand.
Why
didn't it exist before now is what you should be fucking asking.
How did nobody else come up with this idea before? Because like I said, I gotta tell you, I tell the story every time. But when we brought it on and I talked to her about this, like, Leslie was like, go back and listen to that episode in like December. And Leslie was like, yeah, I'm just thinking, like, I want to get your honest opinion on this. And I'm just like, no, you don't understand. I think this is a fucking brilliant idea. Like, this is fucking amazing. Like, you don't understand. I think it's going to blow up. This is great. I can't believe nobody's ever done this. You're like, are you sure you're not just saying that to fuck with? I'm like, no, I'm serious. But it's one of the things.
True. We were like, I don't know.
Right. I'm like,
what's going to happen?
And I'm sitting there going, no, this is fucking brilliant. Like, this is exactly what needs to happen. And I'm like, I can't believe nobody's done this before. I can't believe nobody thought about this. With the subscription boxes phase that's going on with everybody buying a box now. Like, I just kind of off topic, but I just bought I'm now doing one of those food boxes. I'm doing HelloFresh. And
I like HelloFresh.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I'm actually enjoying it. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, everything's a box now, right? Everything comes in boxes.
There's a box for everything.
Right, it's a box for everything. So just like, yo, I'm like, this is actually a really good idea. It's like solving racism with boxes. Yes, like, you need to do this. It's better than that fucking safety pin jacket that they're trying to sell.
Oh God! Let me tell you. I'm gonna just say this one last thing before we leave. Is that one of the exhibitors at Netroots is this woman who owns a company called Left Wing Bling, and she sells like fancy safety pins and a bunch of other really like offensive things, right? So Drew asked her, okay, but who do you have like a sponsor who is an organization, like she goes, no, it's a for-profit business. Then she says, but I do offer organizations the opportunity to do an affiliate program where they get a percentage of what they sell. Bitch, you just talked about how your for-profit business is a pyramid scheme and that's your offering to the world. But Safety Pin Box is a scam. Anyways, I'll leave it there. Because that's the reality of the world. Because white people can do whatever the fuck they want to do. But me and Marissa working to get paid for our work and giving money away to black people, it's a problem.
Oh my God. Anyway, folks, again, this is Insanity Check. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google. I'm gonna try to work to see if we can get. I know you can start getting some shows on Spotify. I'm gonna try to see if we can get some of these shows up on Spotify soon. But yeah, subscribe to us there, and we'll be coming out. The Unanimous Edition will be back. There's also be a Character Corner. I don't know when it's going to come out. We have that on Wednesday of this week coming out. will be the next episode of next Super Tuesday episode of us reviewing the Defenders. It'll be episodes 4, 5, and 6. That'll be in the next episode that we do for that. And I know for movie wise, we have a couple of. I think we have that movie Patty Cake. I think with the white. I think Phenom's going to that one. The white girl who's doing he already thinks it's gonna be trash, but he's reviewing that I think on Monday. I might go. I'm not sure. we do have American Assassin and It. We already have those. So we'll be having those come up soon.
You saw it already?
No, not yet. I think I see it not next week, but maybe the week after next.
You have to text me because I'm afraid to see it. Like legit, I'm scared.
I can't wait. I can't fucking wait to see it. It's getting. I'm hearing good early buzz from it, so I cannot wait. I'm so fucking down for this. That's my favorite. I love. I need a good horror film, and I'm having so much. I can't wait. So I'm really excited. So anyway, folks, thank you guys very much for listening, and until next time, we are out of here. Peace.